Luckily, there's this flowing white this flowing white button-up shirt that I can put on with my long socks.
Maybe Lindsay's dad.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh no, this tied. They put it right next to the cereal. I don't know. And then she goes and does her laundry.
Stuck porn.
Absolute,
she gets stuck in the window.
Absolute stuck porn.
Oh no, Big Brother, get me out of here.
Oh no.
Oh no. Halloween just turned into Halloweener. Hey.
Good 5-4 time there.
Oh, 5-4 time, man.
Let's do it.
Well, hello there, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Confused Breakfast Podcast. Do you remember the pure joy of a trip to the video rental store as a kid?
I do.
It's hard to beat the ease of the modern era and streaming platforms where you don't even have to leave your couch.
True.
But there was something truly special about heading to Blockbuster, picking out a movie by hand, and taking it with you to watch with the kids you're babysitting with for the night. Yeah. On this podcast, we revisit and dissect some of our favorite childhood movies from that magical era to see if they still move us the way they did as kids. I'm your host, Mike Schulte. Joining me, as always, two dudes who have cars but no sense of humor. Shaun Pryor, AJ Venz, how the heck are you?
Pretty good, man.
Well, I lost it because I was driving too fast. I lost out the window. My sense of humor.
Because speed kills?
Speed kills.
Yeah.
Speed kills.
Got him.
Fucking roasted, bro.
Killed it.
Well, boys, on today's episode, we discuss one of the most successful independent films of all time, a movie largely responsible for the popularization of slasher films in the 1980s, which helped develop the slasher genre and popularize many horror movie tropes that we know and love today. The final movie of our spooky season roster.
Thank God.
We're, of course, talking about 1978's John Carpenter's Halloween.
You bet.
Well,
Respect that
damn
man.
it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another nostalgic journey to the past with The Confused Breakfast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy wherever you are in the world. Take it away, boys.
Well, if you are new to the Confused Breakfast Podcast, we're going to be reviewing Halloween scene by scene with a modern eye. It's going to be filled with laughs and scares and joy and cry. But in order to do that properly, we have to go back in time, talk about it with pure nostalgia. The first time we saw it. AJ, tell us about the first time you saw this movie, what your thoughts were as a kid, what your initial rating was as a kid.
Yeah, as a kid, like what the young age that you were when you saw
The young
this.
age that I was. Oh. The ripe old age, the ripe young age of 34 years old.
Wow.
And I tell you, I'll take you way back, guys. I will take you all the way back, sitting in my chair that's in my house that I own now as
4
an
days ago.
adult 4 days ago. Guys, I have never seen this movie before. It's going to be an NA from me.
Special, man.
I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say.
Just want to let you know, for those keeping track at home, that brings AJ to a tie with Shaun for 14 movies you both have not seen.
14, huh?
14 apiece. I'm at 20.
I feel ashamed about that.
I feel the same rage as a 14-year-old would.
Yeah.
So,
Goodness.
Well, Shaun, I know you've seen this movie because you're wearing the T-shirt. What do you have to say about it?
Well, I saw like usually with these movies, it's like, oh yeah, I was consuming all these directors at the time, and I was just super into horror at the time, and I just happened to watch this movie because you have to, you know. My mom showed me this when I was like maybe 6 or 7,
So the same age as Michael Myers.
something like
when
that.
He killed.
She thought I
Yep.
could handle it, and I couldn't. Like I mean, I could see where she was coming from for sure. But no, my fragile little mind just could not take this. Even just seeing the mask and like even just him, like especially him in broad daylight, really fucked with me. And I didn't finish it. And I told her to take the VHS and burn it or throw it away. Like legitimately, I'm like, I didn't even want to see the cover. This cover, I couldn't see it. It scared me so much. So back then, you know what? I have to say, 2. Get it out of here.
It explains a lot about Shaun with a modern eye when we learn these things about him. For me, I never liked scary movies. I avoided them. I definitely never saw this at a young age, but I found there was a moment in my life where I found like a renewed love for Halloween. You know, like you get to that like
Just the season or
yeah,
this
like
movie?
the season. You get to the mid-20s and you're like, oh, the nostalgia of my youth, and you kind of fall back in love with the idea of Halloween. And I knew that I had to start jumping into horror movies. I had to see, just see what it was like. Like, let's do this. And so naturally, I went with Halloween as like the first movie I watched.
Dang.
Because it was called Halloween.
Yeah.
And it brought an absolute newfound love of scary movies for me. Like, I loved this movie the first time I saw it at maybe 25, 26, and I've watched it every single year as a Halloween tradition since. So I'm going to call it an 8.7 for me.
Nice.
As a nostalgic rating. We got executive producer Bud M.F. and Larsen on the show today.
Man.
He says, I believe the first time I saw Halloween was at a Halloween party in elementary school, probably in 5th or 6th grade. I would have been 10 or 11 years old. I remember this was that this movie was first, and then A Nightmare on Elm Street. Halloween scared the shit out of me. Then follow it up with Freddy. It put me over the fucking edge.
That's bad, man.
Yeah, I remember staying up as late as I could because I didn't want to fall asleep and have nightmares. From then on, I couldn't get enough of the 70s, 80s, 90s horror films. So he's a 9. Basically being like scared the shit out of me, but I loved it.
Okay.
You were like scared the shit out of me, but I hate it.
Get rid of it.
Get rid of it. So, nostalgically, with Shaun's low rating and our highs, that's a 6.57. Not very great, fellas. That's going to be number 83 on the list of movies we've done, right below Harry and the Hendersons, right above Speed.
Barely even a movie, man.
Wow.
That's how we feel about this.
Harry and the Hendersons creep me out too, I will say.
Let's be real.
It did. Well, next up, we got to learn all the pertinent, important details of this movie so we can strip away that nostalgia. Talk about it with the modern eye. Shaun, you're up next. What
This
do you
is
got?
important for me, so I'm gonna really hone in on this for us here, Shaun.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Produced by Mustafa Akkad, Irwin Yablans, John Carpenter, and Deborah motherfucking Hill. Written by John Carpenter and Deborah motherfucking Hill. Cinematography for the 9th time.
You
guys.
added it up? I
Yes.
added it up too.
Dean Cundy is
9
back.
times for Deanie.
He will be back once again for his 10th. I know he will. He'll be. I mean, let's just say at this point, he's the champ of the podcast
Yep.
for cinematographers.
The master of Cundilingus.
Yeah,
Here he is.
he lit our nostalgia. Let's just say
Yeah.
that. We are lit about it.
Yep.
Music by John Carpenter, directed by John Carpenter. Cast: Donald Pleasance, Nancy Keys, PJ Souls, Charles Cyphers, Kyle Richards, Brian Andrews, John Michael Graham, Nancy Stevens, Nick Castle, and Academy Award winner Jamie Lee Curtis.
Hey.
Producer Irwin Yablans wanted to make a horror film. Thinking of ideas, he came up with the simple plot of babysitters who are stalked by a killer on Halloween. With that simple idea, the producer went looking for his director, and after watching the film Assault on Precinct 13, which we will cover, Yablans contracted John Carpenter. Carpenter was interested and said he would do it if he had final cut, got his name above the title. Carpenter also said he would do the music, he would write, he would shoot in 4 weeks, and could get all of that done for $300,000. Yablans said, if you can get the film done in 4 weeks for $300,000, you can have whatever you want.
I want my name on it.
Yeah, that's all you get. I'm sorry, let me get this down here. Carpenter and writing partner Deborah Hill got to writing the script, and with Hill being from a small town, Haddonfield, New Jersey, that is where the film would be set, only slightly changing it to the Midwest. Hill wrote most of the stuff pertaining to the high school girls in the film, as she too was a babysitter in a small town, and Carpenter wrote most of the stuff pertaining to evil. No record of him being evil or anything like that. For the role of Laurie, Carpenter first wanted actress Annie Lockhart, but turned down the role. Deborah Hill saw the audition for newcomer Jamie Lee Curtis and said that she was perfect for the role. Not only was she the best acting choice for the role, but they could market the fact that the daughter of Psycho star Janet Leigh would be debuting in the new horror film Halloween. Again, the genius of Deborah Hill. The first choice for Sam Loomis was horror icon Peter Cushing, and second was another horror icon who worked together a lot, Christopher Lee. They both turned it down. They offered the role and $20,000 to Donald Pleasance, whose daughter really liked the music in Assault on Precinct 13. Principal photography began in May of 1978 and shot in Pasadena, California, and was, according to the cast and crew, very fun, and the camaraderie was very high. Cast members, even Donald Pleasance, were so into the film that they would help carry equipment from location to location or load film into the cameras, and even collecting the leaves, which were brought in, of course, not in the natural climate to California. A very cheap film also leads to a very simple problem solving, like having a scary mask. Production designer / editor / anything else found found a few masks. Tommy Lee Wallace. One was a clown mask, and the other was a William Shatner mask. After tweaking the eyes and removing some sideburns, the most iconic mask was born. Carpenter said he just in the script, when he wrote down like what the shape is what they call him would look like, just in script form, he just said just a blank, pale, emotionless face. And he doesn't know why he did that. He thinks maybe subconsciously it was from Eyes Without a Face movie, which is a French movie back in the day. It's really fucking solid, actually. So he thinks that's where it came from, which is kind of like a blank face on this woman. Halloween was released 45 years ago today, October 25th, and on a budget of $320,000, the film made $70 million at the box office, making it the highest-grossing independent film until The Blair Witch Project. It has spawned an entire franchise of sequels and remakes and has cemented itself as one of the greatest, or maybe the greatest, horror film of all time.
Well, thanks, Shaun. Up next, we got to go to AJ, who does the research for us, gives us the ratings, reviews from critics and fans alike. What do you got on this one?
There isn't a lot of blood in this movie, but certainly a lot of blood of tomatoes. From the tomato meter.
Tomato meter.
You guys didn't.
I didn't know where he was going to go with that one.
Well, 96% certified fresh.
96%.
96%
of all the movies we've done is tied with Goodfellas, The Fugitive, American Graffiti, noted right above Evil Dead at 95%. We always have to point out Evil Dead at 95%. We got to make sure we point that out.
It's a good
Thank
movie.
God this one beat that one out. 89% from the audiences, and this is going to come in pretty hot and heavy, much like a lot of these scenes in this movie. 7.7 on IMDb.
It doesn't sound like a lot, but 7.7 is huge. That is tied with The Princess Bride, Blazing Saddles, Airplane, and a little film called Boondock Saints.
Well,
Are you kidding me?
as much as we have to mention Evil Dead, we also have to give
It's very equal.
equal credit to Boondock Saints on IMDb.
It still haunts us somehow.
Still
to this
haunts
day.
us.
Every
It's just
once in a while
like
you're just
Michael
like-
Myers.
We kind of want to go back to the critics and be like, you guys sure about that?
Yeah.
You sure about that?
You sure about that?
You sure about that?
Sure about that?
You sure about that's why?
Yeah. How about let's roll through some hundreds here because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of 1 out of 1s. They really felt like this deserved everything that it could get.
Okay, I have a question for you though.
Go ahead.
Instead of like 1,000 out of 1,000, or
Yeah.
a million out of a million, can you do like 347 out of 347? Like,
Yeah.
Can we do that?
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Maths.
Yeah.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I give this 296 out of 417.
yeah, this one.
I have
What?
no idea what you think about this movie then.
Well, the AV Club, those nerds gave this 3.14 out of 3.14. A remarkable film that towers over the endless clones that followed. That was Keith Phipps. 100 out of 100. 101 out of 101. Empire said Halloween remains about as distilled, raw an experience in terror as is ever likely to be committed to celluloid. New York Times was in a full agreement, but decided to outdo them just a little bit more. They were 102 out of 102. Price is Right rules. From the first shot to the last shot, this movie is confidently guided by a specific and committed vision. Washington Post decided to give this 1 out of 37.
Wow.
I know.
So then, like, your rationale
Wait,
too.
now
Like,
I don't know.
now I don't understand. It's like, well, out of 347, I give this a 10. Like, now I don't know what's going on.
It doesn't matter, guys.
It doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't matter. It's just the Washington Post didn't like it. Gary Arnold had this to say: Halloween is a stab at a derivative minor classic.
Oh.
It's apparent where Carpenter got his horror devices and a minor misfortune that he hasn't been able to synthesize them in a fresh or exciting way.
Is he talking about, like, Black Christmas, you think?
It could
Like
be.
the first.
I read a decent amount of that whole review. Most of it was just telling
Dribble.
you what the movie is. But really, he just the whole movie. He just feels like, oh yeah, I mean we've seen this all before. It's like, have you though?
I don't really
because
think
this was a pretty current. This was like a very recent, like 1978 review of this movie. Was from the Washington Post. So, let's just do some fun ones here, guys. Okay. I wanted to go back a little bit. I wanted to try and pull from back in the day and see if there was anything worthwhile from the current day.
Probably not.
This person said it's a great horror classic, said Ryank. Halloween is one of the best horror movies ever. A great movie, but destroyed by sequels. The first two are the only ones worth watching. But I think the new sequel, Halloween H2O, will be a lot better than the rest.
Was it?
A lot better than the rest? No, it's one of the better ones.
Okay, good.
And I can't wait to see Jamie Lee Curtis again. Great.
All right, that was back in 2001.
I'll tell you what, if you want to see her again, you can do Christmas with the Cranks.
There you go. Yeah, Christmas the Cranks, great holiday classic.
Great holiday classic because we're moving on. Really,
I can't wait to cover it this Christmas.
Yeah,
guys, we got spoiler alert coming at you. We're doing 2 Christmas movies every week, just to spite you guys for breaking the rules. Okay.
Wait, what rule did we break?
Oh, we'll get there. This is 1998, basically when IMDb was born. This is a great movie, said Todd 5. By this time, there's already 5 other Todds.
Got it from John 5.
Yep. Halloween is a really good movie. It has great music throughout the entire film. Any real horror fan must see this. Halloween is a masterpiece, the original slasher horror. That's it.
I mean, that's really what I want out of my reviews.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
Tell me that you liked it, why you liked it, move on.
Here's a couple more like that.
Tell me why you didn't like it, why you didn't like it.
Bye.
See ya.
Yeah.
Scream 7 said the greatest movie ever. After watching Scream, I became interested in slasher films. I watched this one when my town was snowed in, and man, it was scary.
I wasn't allowed to change my username because I saw Scream first.
Yep,
or else it would have been Halloween 7.
I Scream 7. Check out my other profile, my backup profile, Halloween 92.
But the E in Scream is a 3.
Yeah.
You know it is.
That's how it's searchable online that way.
Yes. And last, let's see here, 10 out of 10. Rusty 31. I love these.
Why? This is a lineup of numbers.
I just love that there wasn't any creativity when this came out. They were just like, there's a place we can review movies. I got to get on there so I can get my username.
No, so they go,
shit, there's 30 other Rusty.
Rusty. Well, then I'll be Rusty 31. Tell us anything else. Like, what's your favorite movie character?
How old are you?
Rusty Myers. Like, wouldn't that be fun? Rusty Trombone.
Like
you do a lot of fun shit.
Just do like Bender plus Claire 69.
Can't see the line, can you, Russ?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Just do like Confused Breakfast 49 at checkout. Or
How
something.
about that? This movie is the absolute best horror movie ever made. It has a good plot and great operation method by the killer. A great suspense. There's a lot of stars on there. I'm going to give you guys one last one. This one just says, there's no rating for it. It just says, okay.
I know where this is going. Maybe
this is by Theater Buff. I think that's like somebody who's like really strong.
He's the strong man in their theater group.
Chippendales.
Yeah.
If I ever had to pause the tape to take a breather, it was because I was laughing too hard.
Okay.
Suspense? Oh, please. Oh, no. Jamie Lee Curtis is stuck in the closet, and he's breaking the door down. What's going to happen? Gee, I'm not sure, but I think she just might live, considering she's in the sequel.
That's not fair.
It's not fair.
It's not fair.
Ugh.
Does it ever occur to you that this is just a movie and the actors are playing characters?
This is bullshit. The sequel fucking spoiled this one for me.
The fact that there's any more of these, the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis is in any other movie tells you that she's gonna make it at the end.
Wait, she wasn't
That's
real?
not fair.
Fucking hate people.
First line. The first line of like the back of that VHS is Jamie Lee Curtis is back. It's like, fuck.
She survived.
Well, shit.
I can't watch the original now. Oh, jeez. Gee, I'm not sure. Okay, there I am. Considering she's in the sequel, maybe the suspense is ruined for me since I know of the sequels. There you go. But I don't really think so. I will admit that it does have the coolest / creepiest theme song and scariest looking villain.
Okay.
Although the Scream guy is pretty creepy too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, AJ. Listen, I got to give you a quick little tidbit here. When my cat is healthy, he's happy, and that makes me happy. But since I'm not a mind reader, I don't always know when he's sick. Helping me keep tabs on Sergeant Meowenstein's health is just one reason that I switched to Pretty Litter, and I'm so happy I did. Pretty Litter's ultra-absorbent crystals trap odor instantly. No more cat bathroom smell in my basement. And if you have a cat, you know that the litter smell is the absolute worst part about having a cat. Everything else about a cat makes it the greatest animal of all time to have in your house, except for the litter smell. I've tried 3 different kinds of kitty litter, all promising they would eliminate odors, but Pretty Litter is the first one that I actually tried that actually delivered on that promise. With the previous stuff I used, I couldn't believe how much dust would be everywhere in his little cat room. And I'm thinking that basically means that I'm breathing that all in too. That's nasty. And thankfully, Pretty Litter's super light crystal base also minimizes mess and dust. It's noticeable right away. You put the crystals in, they last up to a month, which means less scooping, fewer trips to the garbage can. But here's where you actually need to listen up if you have a cat. Pretty Litter changes colors to help monitor early signs of potential illness in your cat. That includes urinary tract infections and kidney issues. This is huge. Sergeant Meowenstein had 2 different major health scares for me where we just didn't know it until it was too late. It caused our household a ton of stress, a ton of money. I honestly believe that if we would have had Pretty Litter back then, we could have detected it earlier, saved the headache and the trips to the emergency vet at 1 a.m, which cost a fuck ton of money. And Pretty Litter ships free right to my door in a small, lightweight bag. I never run out of it, and I don't have a huge container of litter taking up space, stinking up my house. You and your cat are going to love Pretty Litter as much as I do, as much as Shaun and AJ do. Go to prettylitter.com/confused. Use code CONFUSED to save 20% on your first order. That's prettylitter.com/confused. Code CONFUSED, and you're going to save 20%, and you and your cat are going to love it so much. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details. Yeah. Well, boys, before we start today's scene-by-scene breakdown, I think I would like to say something.
Okay.
Black cats and goblins and broomsticks and ghosts. Pumpkins of witches are there to roast. You may think that they scare me, you're probably right. Black cats and goblins on Halloween night. Trick or treat! Here we go.
Manometer.
So, scene 1. On Halloween night, 1963, 6-year-old Michael Myers brutally stabs his teenage sister Judith to death. 15 years later, Michael's psychiatrist Dr. Sam Loomis and nurse Marion Chambers drive to Smith Grove Sanitarium to escort Michael to court for a hearing. They're ambushed by Michael Myers and he steals their car. The next day, while Dr. Loomis tries to warn others, Michael arrives in Haddonfield and begins to stalk a teenager named Laurie Strode, who notices him outside the window of her classroom. Guys, before we do anything, I do want to make a statement. I believe with all of my heart that this is the best horror theme song of all time.
I think it's the best score in general of all time.
And how is it? Does it say something about simplicity? Because this is literally the most simple, fucking raw. This is like the indie band version of a score.
Yeah.
You know, it's he's just in his basement, experimenting with microphones and weird shit. Everything about it, the syncopated piano thing, then the dark low end chords come in and the strings rise and even the little stingers throughout the on the window. I don't know what it is, and I think this is maybe one of the reasons I fell in love with this movie.
Yeah, man. I think you're right. It is the simplicity for me. And the whole movie, the whole plot is just so fucking simple. Mm-hmm. But executed to the nth degree, like this score. And John Carpenter, he said he got some bongos or some toms from his dad, because his dad was a musician, and taught him just 5/4 time on those. And it was like bum 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 bum. That's it. He's like, that's really it. And I just chose a key on the piano.
Yeah. So I will say that if there's anything about John Carpenter that I know that I like always draws me back to him, right? It's a lot. I think I'm more infatuated with more of his sound design and sound and like music and compositions than I really am more often than just like his movie in general. Yeah. I know for a fact that he showed like kind of a precursor to like one of the producers or something. Or who was the original
Mustafa
Akkad.
Yeah, like he showed it to him or somebody, and they were not scared by this because there was no music in it, and they were like,
just wait.
I'm not scared by this." And then he came back around after making this composition and composing the music and adding in the sounds and some of these the music to it, and completely changed what this movie was. So I think it's certainly a testament to, more honestly, like his ability to multitask in this realm, not just as a director, but as a producer, sound, all that. And I think, and going back to the simplicity of it, you mentioned in the beginning, Mike, the simplicity of it, I feel like must come from the fact that he has enough to do that he can't overthink this.
Yeah.
And I think that adds a lot to it by making it nice and simple. And I'll kind of talk about that going through this movie, is a lot of the simplicity of this movie and how I think it must stem from him having so much going on that he needs to have things done and then simplified and move on.
Don't overthink it.
Don't
do
overthink
it. Make it good. Move on.
Kids, and get done with it.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that you're right. The movie doesn't work without this score at all.
Well, then wait on that thought. If you take away this score and then you change the name of it to what was it going to be, the babysitter murders, or if you just called it Michael Myers, I don't know if this movie is what it is today. Because first of all, I don't think anyone sees it. And then if you watch that, the movies that made us on Netflix, there's an episode about this. Have you seen that before?
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, it's fucking awesome. First of all, that whole series is great.
Yeah.
The way they give you information about a film, but they talk about how the changing of this name to Halloween made it a reoccurring film.
Yeah.
Every year. Because the first year it did okay. But then the second year, it did even better. And it came back around, and people wanted to see it again. It's like, I think you take the music and the title away from this movie, and I don't think it is what it is today.
Yeah, I think it was Erwin Yablans who was like, he was looking for a different title other than the Babysitter Murders, and was just like, what were those titles? April Fool's Day was after, all of this was after this. But like, there's not like, we can't get Halloween in a movie. Like, it's Halloween something or whatever. He's like, there's no other movie that's been made that's just called Halloween. He's like, well, we have to do it.
Well, let's do it then.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, like this whole intro sequence of the POV camera and the Panaglide vision of what they use here is completely like, it's the killer POV. It's like, the mask. It's everyone does this now completely.
But no one had done this before.
Not at all. I mean, like, but it's such a like economic way to do this and such a smart way to do it and get you like into the mind of this killer who you think, first watching this movie, you might, oh, this is a guy doing this, grown man or something. But technically, even just the way they did it was crazy. We're just they did this all in one take. Like, you can tell that there's cuts here and there, especially when he puts on the mask. Like, there's a cut there, and then like after he gets done stabbing his sister, they go down the stairs and he like takes off the mask. Or no,
when he gets on the street,
he just like turns towards the staircase, and you can tell it's like a cut black right there. But it took like a whole film roll to do this every time.
To correct me if I'm wrong, that Panaglide cartridge, because of how movable it was, couldn't hold that much film, right?
Right.
So they said, I read somewhere, I think it was on this, that it could only hold like 4 minutes and 26 seconds of film.
Yeah.
So, and that whole scene's like 4 minutes and 30 seconds long. And like, that's amazing that they had to come up with on the fly that fucking cut shot of the mask going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's brilliant. Like, cause they're not going to, try and be like, okay, let's put the mask on in real time. It's like, no, you're going to cut and then put whatever filter you have over that. It's just so smart. But I also like, I feel bad for Michael's sister too, just because like her and her boyfriend, like they go upstairs and everything, and dudes, If they fucked, it was not a good time for her.
It was not a good
Can
time.
we please talk about this?
I timed it, and this is generous for him.
Yeah.
It was exactly 1 minute, but I timed it where they got upstairs, so I just like, or like he turned the lights on.
We're
or lights
okay right
off
there.
in
Yes.
the bedroom. I started it, and then I stopped it when he like is on the staircase. So I gave him a little bit of a grace period.
How long
he
was
came
it?
within maybe 45 seconds.
You still got to get clothes off because there
Yeah, I
are
was gonna
clothes.
say.
Judith's clothes are on the floor. You still have to take clothes off. You still have to at least like hug and embrace and then fall onto the bed.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Well, let's face it. He was already hard.
They had I mean, if
He probably came in his pants on the couch.
if he fell on her at that point, then she got stabbed more than what they reported. But at this point, I think
She was only half nude. That could have done it for him.
I'm saying, and so I think that yeah, you know what, they got kind of the good foreplay out on the couch and
Yeah,
whatnot.
so he's
That's all
ready.
good. I just pray to God that he didn't do the whole like through the underwear trick. And
over the
like
pants
just to
hand
try,
job.
just like well the hole in the underwear, you just kind of pull that out to the side,
He
and then
definitely
he had
did.
his shirt off. He had his shirt off,
But-
couldn't get the pants all the way down. She was a trooper through this whole
Guys,
thing.
hold on a second though. As much as I do want to make fun of him, I have two things to point out. Number one, he saved his life by
true.
You know
'cause
what?
He was 3 seconds away from being murdered.
It's true.
Yeah.
By the time Michael came through the kitchen, he was kind of like, "Oh shit, he's already done. Fuck, okay." Her old boyfriend used to last longer than that, but whatever. And then he left the house,
Yeah.
so he saved his life. And what happened to him?
Yeah.
He had to have like saw this in the news the next day and be like, "Oh my god."
I dodged a knife, dude.
That's right.
Jesus.
But secondly, Judith Myers has the best tits I've ever seen in a movie in my entire life. And I don't want to be that guy, but I've thought that since the day I saw this movie, that is not a 16-year-old girl.
No.
I mean,
up
isn't
there.
she like a model or something?
She was a Playboy playmate. Her name was Sandy Johnson. I didn't look it up or anything.
Nice.
Like that. She. So I do not feel bad for him because like I probably would have been the same way.
Yeah.
If that was the 16-year-old I was dating, it would have been. I would have just looked at her.
Yeah.
I know.
She would have taken her shirt off and
It would have been an American Pie.
Yes, that's exactly.
On a train to Blue Balls for Shaun, like that kind of a situation that you're just like, ouch, ouch. I am sorry, I have to go. Let's be honest, that's probably more reasonable what happened. She's like, well, will you like call me tomorrow? He's like, I don't know if I can.
I actually don't know if I could ever go through this again.
I'm embarrassed right now.
I like this is tough. Like the friction of my jeans ruined this because
I don't know if I can
I
talk.
saw
My mom
you.
does my laundry, and I don't know what we're gonna say.
I don't know
she's
how
gonna
to.
find in
I
this
don't know how to
pants.
explain this. Like, how am I supposed to? We didn't go to an oyster bar tonight. Like this is like what?
The Haddonfield Oyster Social Club. We didn't. They weren't open tonight.
They weren't open.
They're closed for their
Country
annual Halloween
club,
party.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, did you go swimming in these? What's going on? So it's like salt
Bro,
water.
it's the Limp Bizkit video where the milk comes down on him.
Oh,
That was
God
based
damn.
on-
No. Poor guy. And honestly, it's he's probably okay after this because he gets to be like, oh man. He's like, weren't you with her that night? It's like, yeah, we had the most amazing night. And then
It was
what did her
incredible.
boobs feel like? Like a bag of sand.
You didn't get anywhere.
Yeah, I did.
No, you did.
Was her pussy good? It's like, you don't ask something like
You
that.
don't talk.
We don't talk like
It's
that.
like, well, man, respect the dead.
Come on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, you're right though. This whole scene, like through the mask, I wonder how often like those shots are paused for kids.
Sure.
Like those VHS moments are just burned out. And yeah, I don't know. That mask is super creepy though.
I got 2 of these.
I'm Shaun.
I want to know if Shaun has ever heard this one, that there's a theory of that this moment was what actually started Michael Myers down his killing road. Obviously, this is when he made his first kill, but imagine this. Michael gets ready to go trick-or-treating. He's 6 years old. His parents have left. He's already had a tough life. No one pays attention to him. His dad works too much to climb the corporate ladder. His mom is a raging alcoholic. His 16-year-old sister Judith is very promiscuous with tits like that. Just has dudes over every other night, loud sex in a room because her parents are never home.
I mean, I would too.
That's what I'm
Loud,
saying.
quick sex.
His favorite day of the year is Halloween. He's so excited to go trick-or-treating. He's got this clown outfit costume. He's ready to go. Judith promised to take him out, but but her boyfriend shows up. She has other plans instantly, is not going to take him out for trick-or-treating. Not only does Judith not take Michael out trick-or-treating, but her douchey boyfriend stole his mask before he left the house and wouldn't give it back. So Michael dejectedly has to go out by himself, trick-or-treating without his full costume. His friends are making fun of it. He's obviously dressed up at the end. You see his full costume on. He returns after the anger has built up to a boiling point. He sees them in the house, decides to take everything out on his sister, fully transforming into a killer. And it was the stolen mask that put him over the edge, and that is why he has to steal masks when he comes out into the world. He's always got to have a mask on to do the killing.
Yeah.
Why he has to have the mask. Yeah.
I mean, hey, like that's the backstory kind of with the Rob Zombie retelling.
I have
Is
not
that
seen
right?
that. I have not seen that.
You have not? It's I mean, you know, I like that.
It's essentially aware of the parents.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Where are the parents?
Yeah.
Where were they at?
They were at the Oyster Club.
They were. Yeah, see, I didn't see him at the Oyster
We
Club.
were there. We didn't see you there.
We did.
That's my parents.
It's my. I do like that though. I like the idea of getting a little bit more backstory to him than just like all of a sudden he decided to grab a knife and go haywire. Like what is this? Some sort of like weird bloodlust that he gets that he's just like, oh hell yeah, that's hot. Oh yeah, and he's just like, holy shit. Oh, my pants are getting tighter. What's going on? And then he's just like goes into a fit of rage because of this. Like, what's going on?
See, I think I do like the Rob Zombie remake, but I don't like the explanation of like the evil. You know, I like it to be completely like up to your own imagination, or just it's simply just he is just evil, and people decide to do this randomly, and we don't know why, and we can't figure it out. You know,
My brother got a golden retriever puppy that was like of highest pedigree, and it just like would glass eye over every once in a while and try to kill you.
Jesus.
Like no matter what they did, no matter what specialist they took it to, no matter what kind of training they had, he would just go from being like, I love you to I'm going to kill you.
Whoa.
And I think that is a truth fact of like, maybe this kid is just literally has something that cannot be fixed.
You just snap. And like some people just do, like, morbid curiosity that I have is like listening to 911 calls of like people who are just like, yeah, I killed my parents. Okay, why'd you do that? I don't know. Like they just, and
There's
they
like
don't
this
know.
dejection, this step back from reality, this, seeing yourself from a different, like stepping outside of yourself almost.
Right. It's scarier than like, well, they treated me like shit. you know?
So
Like,
I finally boiled up.
Right,
And I finally got him.
So, and I think that was you made mention of some of this. I think Shaun was number one. It was kind of based on John. Like, didn't he have like a real experience with this?
Yeah. Well, he visited like a insane asylum at one point and saw like a patient in there who just had like the glazest, the eyes glazed over, like just this look was just like there was nothing there at all.
It was like a kid who was just an absolute blank stare that just it was just so unsettling to him because he just wouldn't stop watching him and looking at him. And then on top of that, it kind of makes sense too, because why we don't want to give a backstory to somebody, and that's why I kind of like movies from this kind of era, potentially, because we don't want a backstory.
Nope.
We don't, because John Carpenter doesn't want you to identify with him in any way.
Right.
So there's no reason to give a backstory here.
If they're like, his dad wasn't home and his mom treated him like shit and his sister beat him, it's like, oh, okay.
It's like you're turning him into like some sort of like dark hero or something like that, or what? But obviously he's still doing bad things. Yes. But it's like we're not turning this into like Dexter Morgan here. No. Okay, like no, there is no understanding, and I also really like that. That like when they're driving to the insane asylum, how Loomis talks about him.
Yes,
and
I agree.
The saying, like what he says is like, I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then I spent another 7 trying to keep him locked up.
Yes,
because I don't like. There's nothing there. Like
I tried,
and
that's frightening.
And you're right. It is like not even spoon feeding anything to the audience at this point too, where it's just it is just Loomis being like, you don't fuck with this guy. Yeah. And you listen to what I have to say about him because it's fucked. Mm-hmm. Like I've made it my life's mission to keep this this dude under wraps and not get out ever because he is that bad, you know. And like what you were saying is like all Carpenter wants you to know about Michael Myers is that he's coming for you and he won't stop.
Yes.
Right.
And
That's all
he
you
can't
need
be
to know.
killed, and that's it, you know. And that's scary. That's really scary shit. But like,
A force that can't be reasoned
yes,
with. Yes,
even
we talk about
getting
that.
into the psychology of like how Loomis talks about him is like, he's like, well, you treat him like an animal, or like he's a human being or something like that. She says, he's like, if you say so, you know,
Yeah,
like give him enough Thorazine to knock him out, and he's like, that's the idea.
That's the idea.
Can we refer to it as a he?
There you
not
go,
net?
that's
Like
it.
whatever.
That's it.
Whatever.
Yeah, and I also thought that was another interesting part that I feel like what a great way to play it. And I didn't see it, but they said it's even credited as the shape.
Yeah.
Is that right? So they really want to remove all personality
humanity.
from all humanity
Yeah.
from this thing, this character, to be. And I think it's very, very. I do really think it's very smart.
Yeah.
And you combine all that talk with a car that has zero headlight power whatsoever in the rain. Like it's terrifying to me that they're driving up to an insane asylum at night during a storm where they can't see anything.
When I first watched this movie, like I said, when I was 6 or 7, this was the shot of like the headlights just getting like the white gowns of people.
Oh, man.
that fucked me up
it
more than
still
anything.
fucks me up.
Yeah.
It would have been like if that was like, let's say, we were gonna go do, Seeing Into the Past.
Let's go do it.
And let's go do it. And we're driving up to like, oh, this is cool. It's like where they shot Halloween and stuff. And we drive up and our headlights barely see these white gowns. Just like, oh, shoot. Well,
Well,
nope.
yep.
Time to go all the way back to Cedar Rapids.
time to turn around here. Let's. Oh, we're gonna back on up.
It is
There's no
terrifying.
way.
No.
Terrifying.
You're gonna continue on. Get out of here, bro.
Dumbass nerd's like, I didn't know they let them out at night. It's like, do you think they let them out? Yeah,
Just a
usually
leisurely
around
walk
midnight,
around.
they just get to walk around.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the rain.
Yeah.
Who cares?
We don't
Yeah.
care about them.
These damn human rights laws with their 12 every 12 hours they need an hour of yard time.
She's not the smartest.
No.
No.
Well, no, she's smoking in that car. It's gonna smell like smoke.
AJ, I do want to ask you if you caught up on a couple of things.
Okay.
When Michael Myers gets on the roof
Yeah.
and he smashes the window, did you notice anything about that?
About him jumping up there.
No, when the hand smashes the window at all.
I just noticed that like it's the one behind her.
Yeah, like behind her, where it just and it smashes the window. Did you see anything weird?
I didn't see anything like. No.
I never noticed this in the many years I've been watching this until I watched how this was made, how movies were made. There's a wrench that goes all along the length of his arm with the handle
Really?
in his hand, and they kind of skin tone painted it. So he's basically got a wrench so that he can do that against the window and it will
Damn,
break.
I never knew that.
I didn't know
Look back,
that.
you see it now. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And half of me thinks that's obviously what the prop they did to make the window break. But half of me thinks that was Michael Myers going, well,
He's
Yeah.
got one.
I got one, and I'm gonna use it to break the window.
yeah.
Use of some sort of force. the
Either
right
way,
yeah.
either way makes total sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's also the issue of him like getting this car.
Yeah.
And I know that this is like a kind of a big point of contention around this movie and like his escape. Him crawling around on that thing, number one, pretty wily, squirrely guy to just be jumping around on a car like that.
Wet car.
A wet car. But then at the same time, he gets in and just drives away like, I mean, he's Mario Andretti. Like, what's going on here? I mean,
Max Verstappen.
oh, right. Yeah. So there, a lot of people are like, well, why does he just know how to drive if he's been in an insane asylum?
Is that the creepiness of it, Shaun? That he kind of tries to answer it in the next scene when he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, maybe somebody taught him. He was doing really well last night." Like maybe that's the creepy factor of it, is like, how the fuck does he know how to do this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really just do chalk it up to, and like it I do think about it every time. Like it's not like, well, fuck that, just it's a movie, so just get over it. No, I don't subscribe to that thinking at all. But I do think it was just like he's just so driven to like this is his destiny. And I think a lot of this movie is about like fate, what they kind of bring up here, and the loss of innocence really is what this movie's about. We'll get more into that, but just his like this was bound to happen,
Yeah.
and it's going to happen either that he knows how to drive or not. Like he will figure it out.
He'll figure it out.
because I don't know. That's kind of my thinking of it. But
I did hear like kind of somebody's cool take on it. that if he's been driving to like sessions or whatever with Dr. Loomis, that he was watching from the back seat.
Sure.
And just
waiting, watching for some silent alarm to go off.
it like if he's going to appointments or seeing things like
He's
for
observing.
8 years, he's just observing because that's just what he does. All he does is watch and observe.
Well, what happens if that car only had like a quarter of a tank of gas in it?
I know.
Does Michael Myers pull up to a gas station and fill up?
Maybe siphoned off a Phelps garage truck somehow.
Oh, wow.
Well, maybe he doesn't know exactly how to do it, but he's like, I'll just pull in here and I'll just figure it out. And it's a like a full service.
Yeah.
And he's about ready to get out, and they're like, "Hey, sir!" And he's like, "Oh fuck, okay, cool. I think they're gonna do it for me." And he just kind of sits in there and
It's just like
some
it's like,
Funyuns.
Cool Halloween mat. Oh, I hadn't had it, I guess.
Yeah, but still,
how can we help you today?
yeah, yes, sir.
Oil,
Yeah,
gas, what do you need? All right. Well, it looks like you're a little low, so we'll just top you off if that's
Fill
all
her up
right.
for you. Window
Don't like
washer.
that.
Window washer guy's like,
Yep, I don't like that.
it's just the guys from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what it is.
They choose not to deal with him. They're like, let that guy go.
I do want like a little short film now of like because Loomis says like, well, maybe someone taught him how to drive. It's like just some orderly at Smith's Grove like teaching him on
It's
Sundays.
really happy music.
It's like driving Miss Daisy.
Driving Miss Daisy.
I really like that.
Driving Mr. Myers. Oh,
I do have a question for you though. So we get into Haddonfield, and we're meeting Lori. Her dad is a real estate agent. Her dad gives her the keys to take over to the Michael Myers house because someone's going to show it at like 10 o'clock. Michael's already in town, and he's already inside the house. Remember, like she walks away and he's in the house.
Right.
What happens to the realtor and the clients when they go in this house at 10 o'clock? Did they get killed?
Mike,
And we just haven't found out about it yet?
Will you please just give me a very like brief walkthrough of just like you meet up with your client at this house, and they're very intent on buying it. It's not like you're going to be swaying them out of this or like real easily. So you give it.
AJ's looking to buy this house.
Yeah.
You're looking to sell it to him. I'll be Michael Myers.
Okay, that sounds good.
Well, see, AJ, I know you really like this house, but I want to let you know that we're in a non-disclosure state where technically they don't have to tell you that someone died in this house.
Okay.
But you're going to find out at some point. It's inevitable. You're gonna be pulling up with your moving truck going, honey, we bought a house. And the neighbor's going to go, can't believe somebody finally bought the murder house.
The Myers.
So I want to tell you all about this. Like, dude, you don't want the negative stigma that's going to come with this house. Let's open the door here and let's just. I'm going to show you how shitty this house is. I'll show you where he killed her.
Shitty.
All right, let's go.
Okay. That sounds good. There's definitely a death in here. I mean, it does stink.
Why is this dog dead over here?
Why is it? Yeah, what's going on? So, I mean, are the neighbors friendly? Is it a nice neighborhood?
No.
It's not, huh?
No, and this house is way over asking price.
Is it?
You don't want this. Kill us already.
Yeah. What is that? Is that like an air leak or something? The AC not working here?
No, I would definitely. In fact, our old producer Jeremy Jacobs wanted to see a house that someone was killed in. Yeah. That a teenager murdered his two parents with an axe inside of the house
in Iowa,
and they did not disclose. They did not disclose that because you don't have to. But I made sure to tell Jeremy because guess what happened? They pulled up before I did, and the neighbor came over and was like, "Can't believe you're looking at this house." And they're like, "What do you mean?" So like no wonder this house. How did they not just bulldoze this house?
I
don't know.
I love it. I love the fact that like Mike ends up he meets them at his client at this house, and they like step like 2 feet into there, and like there's a smell, and they're like, yeah, I guess we're not really in the market for a fixer-upper. And then close the door and you lock it. You put a thing in your little lockbox. And then, like, 2 seconds later, like, another, like, nice, like, fun new realtor who's really perky.
Hey, I left the keys in the door for you.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, my God. There's so much charm inside this house. You are going to love it. It's a bit of a fixer-upper. But the amount of potential in here, good bones. I'm telling you. I've got
Single owner.
I've got some real cool things to show you. You're going to love this kitchen. You cook, you're going to love this kitchen. Here we go. Ah!
Next to great schoolyards here.
That's what would happen.
Yes, I do.
And guys, I don't care that this is Pasadena, California, and you can see some palm trees here and there. This looks like Midwest. This looks like a town that I'd visit my cousins in called Wheaton, Illinois. This looks exactly like that. Like I don't care. Like any small town in the Midwest, it looks exactly like this.
It does. Did you notice the palm trees?
Yes, at one point I did.
Shaun, I never noticed it until I watched how it was made, and then I pointed it out to Molly, my wife, and she lost all interest in the movie. She's
Really?
All she could do was just like, oh nope, that's a hibiscus that would never grow in the middle. Oh, look at there's a and like she could not get over it, and it did take it away from me a little bit, but. Then I'd be brought right back in. There'd be like leaves falling, and I know they were fake painted leaves that someone was just throwing in the air.
Yeah,
and it was 90 degrees out.
They had to collect because they bought them.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, like it's that cheap of a film where it's just like they had to scrounge all this up. But like, man, like I said, I don't care.
I got over it quick.
You know, like especially of like the camera just like in the 4-way stop right when we get into Haddonfield. It's like Haddonfield, Halloween. It just screams Halloween, man. There's no other film that captured Halloween like this movie had done, and it's. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's stupid or like trite to say that it's called Halloween. Yeah, feel kind of trite.
I just before we move on to scene 2, really quick, I think it's important that we do take a moment to talk about fate. Fate. Samuels talked about it as though nothing could change their fate.
Potter.
Potter's fate.
Like, I'm surprised. Yeah. And nothing they could do. Unfortunately, for a few around here, their
Oh my God.
fate was sealed. I can't imagine like everyone's just
Lori doing her homework, and then you're the teacher.
Yeah. Fate. Samuels talked about fate more often than not talking about fate. Answer the question.
What's more terrifying, her use of the F syllable of the F pronunciation, or Michael Myers just staring at you from across the street behind a car?
This is great. Honestly, I think this is, and what you also mentioned, Shaun, as we go into scene 2, I really do think that the fact that you can do this in broad daylight and add such a creep factor in broad daylight is safety.
Yeah.
That's what daylight means, especially in movies generally, right? Oftentimes it means safety.
Yeah.
Nighttime is where the terror comes out. But to have this injected into the daytime and safety time, terrifying. Yep. I love it.
Yeah, I just one more thing of her like Tommy talking with her and like I can't wait for you to come over tonight. Will you read to me? Can we make some popcorn? Not a phone in sight.
Not a phone in sight.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Just good times, you know.
What do you want to do? Sit on the couch and like turn on a movie that we're not going to watch because we're going to be on our phones? That sounds great.
Yeah. Oh, dude, sounds good. Netflix and phone. Cool.
Shirt idea.
Nice.
Netflix and phone. All right.
Fellas, before we move on to scene 2, a thought occurred to me. We've only done one movie about basketball, Teen Wolf, and it was a fantastic episode.
Maybe basketball. I don't know if you can count that.
Different sport.
Different sport.
I say it's time to consider Hoosiers, maybe even White Men Can't Jump, or maybe even the best basketball movie ever, Air Bud.
Air Bud, huh?
Best basketball movie ever. The reason I started thinking about this is that the wait is finally over for NBA fans. Basketball is back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is celebrating with an unbeatable offer. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for throwing down $5 on the NBA. You can just pick like an over-under on a game. You don't even have to know what's going on. $5 and you instantly get $200 in bonus bets. Win or lose, it does not matter. You'll start the season with an instant win, and with DraftKings parlays, everyone's got a shot at even bigger basketball wins. String together multiple bets from the same game or build your parlay across multiple games for a shot at making your payday even sweeter. That is my preferred method of making the game so much more fun to watch. It's you increase your odds, you throw a couple different bets on a parlay, sit back and enjoy. Basketball is more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code CONFUSED. New customers get $200 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5. That's DraftKings Sportsbook app. Download it now. Use code CONFUSED. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, KS. Licensee partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles, LA. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
Slow down.
So scene 2, Michael's spotted by some young kids after school. Dr. Loomis finds evidence on the side of the road that indicates Michael has made his way to Haddonfield. Michael stalks Lori and her friends Linda and Annie on their way home from school. Lori gets home and sees him in the backyard. Meanwhile, Dr. Loomis arrives in Haddonfield to find Judith Meyer's tombstone missing.
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, so we're like, he is stalking her out the window and everything, and this daylight horror and everything. But the boogeyman is going to get you. These kids, like that freaked me out as a kid as well. And
He's going to get you. He's going to get you. He's going to get you.
It's like, I don't know. I think I was probably around that age when I saw this movie, and so that's why it freaked me out. I saw myself as Tommy so much. And just like he runs and grabs that fucking kid, and it's that shriek, you know. What do you guys think about him stalking people in the daylight with that mask on? Like, I guess it is around Halloween. Is that the excuse? Are you good with that?
Yeah, it's Halloween day and night. I mean, that's what we're in. You know, this all takes place on one evening.
There were people wearing masks last night at your show, Shaun. Like,
yeah.
And it's not even Halloween.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
It's like, it's just what it is.
And I mean, yes, it is creepy, but again, it's to be argued that, well, that's the point.
Yeah.
You know? And for him to the kid to like run and he catches him, it's like, well, maybe there's some humanity in there after all.
He lets him go.
He lets him go. He's like, well, I don't have my knife. I don't know.
It's in the car. Goddamn.
This ain't my killing mask, I guess. But I always felt so bad. I feel bad for Tommy. Like when I was a kid, I was always that way. You know, I like you would have like severe anxiety holding like a pumpkin, like because it's fried, or an egg. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you have that severe anxiety, and like I just felt so bad when he like trips and like drops his pumpkin or like falls on it and it shatters. Basically, I feel so bad there, and then you're just kind of like. And then Mike Myers lets him go. I was like, oh, so he's part of their crew. Fuck that guy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like, what a jerk.
Also,
right?
Tommy just left the pumpkin there on the
He did-
ground
well,
for some janitor
Fuck
to
else
clean
you
up.
gonna do? Yeah.
I
That's
don't
true.
know.
I mean, it's true. Like he could have brushed it into the grass, but then it's harder to get the seeds out.
Aw, dang. Aw,
Is it-
golly
Dang it.
gee.
Okay, so
Aw, damn dang
the
it.
pumpkin. Where are they getting the pumpkins in this movie?
Dude.
They're all gorgeous and gorgeous, and
This
Go.
was spring.
I'm so
No.
sorry.
This was
They're
spring in
just
California,
huge.
dude.
Yeah.
Spring in California.
It was like as harder to get these pumpkins than like leaves.
Probably.
And apparently harder than editing out palm trees in your movie. But
They said they had three actual pumpkins
Actual
that they were able to
pumpkins?
find that were real pumpkins. The one that broke was one of them, and then the one that Lori's carrying that's carved is one of them. And then I think one of the ones on the porches, maybe.
Yeah.
Or no, the one that was in the bedroom during the coitus. The rest were all like they found some weird like gourd type thing
Green
that was green, and they
pumpkins.
painted them all orange.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just for the effect of it, to be like, no one cares.
I mean,
Whatever.
you got to do what you got to do. And I mean, again, these are simple problems, you know, that have probably simple solutions to a degree. But I do think that him driving around is also maybe one of these points of like with that mask on. No,
Nah.
like I hope that you think that car has AC. He's just in there sweating. in
Hey,
that
dude,
thing.
it's a crisp fall in the Midwest.
right. You're right. I'm sorry. lost the allure.
It's more like he needed that.
He probably
Yeah.
It probably wasn't him stopping because he heard Annie talking. It was probably because he there's a ball that rolled out in the thing that he couldn't see.
Oh my God. Some kid was playing ball on the street. And we as the audience think that he actually heard her yell.
And then it's that damn kid like waiting, and what we didn't get to see is this moment between this kid picking up his ball and having this moment with Michael Myers like
No.
Oh my God.
It's
Fuck,
not
that guy's
that. It's
creepy.
the moment where whenever a kid's ball rolls out in the street and you stop, the kid instinctively stops.
Yep.
yeah.
And you're like, go, and he's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not
No.
supposed to cross the street. That's what was happening with Michael Myers
Exactly.
and the kid.
The
It wasn't scary.
only line that Michael Myers had was actually edited out, and it was that, Shaun. It was fuck.
He was looking back at them like, oh, shit. Yeah, I'll probably kill them later. Fuck!
I only kill 16 and up, not little kids, okay?
He's like, hi, Lori. Hi.
Well, then what do you think about what we like to do on the show? It's very hard, but I like to think of the humanization of
Yeah.
Michael Myers.
I
Like,
know.
what if he's not actually trying to kill it? What if he's just stalking them because he's like, he likes them?
Yeah.
But he just doesn't know anything.
Still problematic, but
Yeah, it very much is. But like, imagine him standing in the backyard at those clotheslines and like very creepy, right? But then all you do, he just doesn't know that he just needs to hold a boombox up.
Right.
That's all he needs to know, and then it's not creepy anymore.
I
But
think-
he just doesn't know he's been in an institution. He doesn't know how to court a girl.
true.
I honestly, I think he's just lost.
He doesn't know this town. Dude, think about when you were 6. You
no-
didn't know how to
like,
get
No
anywhere.
peripheral vision at all in that mask. You know?
He doesn't know how to get around anymore. He's like, God, this doesn't look the same 15 years ago.
Where the fuck
Oh, man.
Is this my house?
like
this
when
my
like
The
when-
gutter wasn't like that when I was there.
Like when Dr.
Shit.
Loomis is standing there and Dr. Loomis is just like this, and like Mike Myers just drives past him behind him. He's just like,
Where the fuck am I going?
where the
That's a
hell am I
hardware
going?
store now?
He's like, hardware store. That's where I used to get coffee.
I'm just saying, like
Gentrified
he just
Haddonfield.
doesn't know what's going on. Imagine that you were 6 and then your whole life was taken away from you, and then 15 years later you were just like, here, be a kid.
Yeah.
Be a teenager.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Where's the candy store at?
Candy store.
There used to be a movie rental place here.
Son of a, where's Doozles?
Where the fuck are my parents? Checks out that they're gone.
Yeah.
Fucking assholes.
We didn't even mention the fact that like at the very beginning, like his parents are just like, Michael, what's going on, Michael? And they just stand there like, let's not investigate.
If I had 2 children and I came home and one of my kids had a knife with blood on it and I didn't know where my other kid was, I'm immediately running in the house to see
Right.
what happened.
I'm gonna immediately run in the house with the. I'm not gonna take that knife out of his hand. So maybe that's a good point. Actually, I'm gonna knock it out of his hand, and then,
What's that?
and then I'm gonna run inside.
Yep.
Grab a new knife. But yeah, no way.
No.
Sorry, I had to backtrack there for 2 seconds.
It's okay.
I'll backtrack a little bit too, where Loomis is on the telephone or the payphone right next to
With the perfectly scripted train coming by.
perfectly scripted train and the Haddonfield sign right there.
Oh, perfect.
You see him like investigate and he sees the rabbit in red, which is like a cool MacGuffin, just like script wise anyway. Just be like, okay, well that is him because he got that from the car that I was
Yep.
in, you know. But then it pans to he killed Freddie Mercury.
Yep.
And then he goes away after that. Like it looks straight up like
It does. Oh, it does.
damn it.
Temperature's rising.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Oh man.
Ooh, here's a prop.
Okay.
I want the matchbook, man. I want the rabbit in red lounge matchbook. Okay. I think that would look beautiful on our shelf.
I agree
That's
with
such an iconic. You don't even need that in this movie, but like you see it and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
You know, like it just tells you the story.
I need the Smith's Grove station wagon. That thing's fucking awesome.
It's really.
I love that.
That's one of those station wagons where there's a seat in the back row facing backwards.
Yes.
Yeah, that is definitely one of those
I
station
love
wagons.
that shit.
Hell to the yeah.
You want Bob's glasses?
No.
He's got him already.
I'll talk. Yeah. Thank you.
great.
I'll talk about Bob in a second. No, what I want Tommy's comic books.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Neutron Man.
Neutron Man. There's Salamander
Deathcore Man.
Yep. There's and then it gets to the purple-headed yogurt slinger, and then the
Great hiding spot too.
Yeah.
By the way.
and I like that's what I want for my
Right next to his mom's knitting
Yeah.
set.
yes. But it's like my mom doesn't let me have them, and like good thing she didn't make it through more because then it's just like Hustler.
Wow.
Well, this one's about these nice ladies.
Yeah.
They come into a planet Hustler, and they quell psychos by showing their tits.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that's about.
Mom.
I'm really just in it for the forums.
Really?
The articles.
Let's talk about Annie and Linda. First of all, I do have a trivia question for you. How many times does Linda say the word totally?
Totally.
Total is about, I'm gonna say 32.
32? You know how many times?
I have no idea.
She says it so many times it feels like 32. It is 14.
14.
She says the word totally 14 times.
Totally.
In what? 7 minutes of on-screen airtime? Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
It's good.
I really like honestly all the ladies in this movie.
Yeah.
I actually think they all do a very great job. And they all do their own specific kind of role very well. Like even her, you know, she is like the ditzy blonde kind of a thing,
Totally.
right? Totally.
Cheerleader.
Yeah. And I forget my chemistry book all the time. My language arts book, and I don't read books, and it's just like,
Shit.
okay.
I have a place for that.
Yes.
Fucking
So,
gross.
but they all do their role very well, but I love that it's not overplayed, actually. None of them are totally overplayed, but I think that they all do it very well, and it's just this, I mean, kind of this promiscuous idea, and it really lays into that fact of the ones who are the promiscuous ones are on the chopping block.
Yeah.
This is one that started. You know, Scream. We just did Scream. It
Yeah.
comments on that, and this is the one that did it. You know, I mean, I guess I'll get into this a little bit too, where it's just what I think this movie is about. I think really simply, it's just a killer stalking babysitters movie, like simply like that. But if you want to read, if you want to read into it a little bit more, I read into it where it is just like the loss of innocence, and like these her friends are kind of going and doing all these things and having sex and having boyfriends and drinking and smoking pot and all that. And Laurie's this more reserved person who kind of relates a little bit more to the children that she's babysitting, you know. And I just think that is kind of perpetuated throughout this, is like fate, I guess, is like stalking her throughout the. Sorry, fate.
Thank you.
Is
Say it right.
How do you get a P sound out of fate?
Fate.
Fate. There, I got
There it is. You really got to push your lip out.
the chapped lips by the end of this.
Pot of fate. But yeah, it's like it is like even like when he's stalking her and her friends go away, and it's just a shot of him in the foreground and Laurie walking away. He's like, I wish you had you all alone. Like she's just singing, walking down it stays on that for a while, and I think it just really permeates that fact of just like it is watching her. It's going to get her, you know, and it's going to change her life and make her not innocent at all anymore. You know?
Yeah.
It's just like she needs to catch up almost. Like she doesn't need to have sex or anything. You know, she doesn't need to do any of that. I don't care what she does, but I think that's what the movie is kind of saying.
I really like that actually, because it's almost like there's a point where unfortunately it becomes almost this forced loss of innocence.
Yes.
Like what you're saying, whereas you kind of need to catch up. You need to, you know, those, and I do think about this pretty often and I'm sure it's obvious, guys, but I've never seen the movie, okay, up until now. So the idea of, you know, a lot of the murders as they start to come up really do mimic and emulate what he did when he was 6.
Yeah.
So a lot of the murders are very similar. They're right in line with the way it happened originally. A promiscuous girl like his sister, and probably with a guy or something, whatever it happens to be. I do really like, and just to comment on what you're saying, that like very long lingering shot. I there's something about it that we've maybe touched on similar things before, but this very long lingering shot, there's moments where you think she's going to look back.
Yeah.
And not even so, or that when he's gonna move out of frame, or like it's these long lingering shots that are beyond the point of, okay, so now we have this established. That's good. She's still walking away. We're probably gonna move on. Why aren't we moving on?
Something's gonna happen.
Oh, she's gonna look back. She doesn't look back. And it becomes eerie and creepy because nothing happens that you expect or want to happen.
This takes a long time for a kill to happen that we see after the first scene.
It's all tension.
Right.
That's what I love. Like
it is a tension builder,
Yeah.
and the biggest thing for this to me is there's a point. I don't know when it started in my rewatches or whatnot, but I started to become a little paranoid as a watcher to be constantly looking behind them while they're just walking and having conversations.
Yeah, cool.
You start to become a little paranoid almost for them, being like, where is he? He's back there somewhere.
Well, and he shoots it in such a wide frame,
Right.
too, where it's just like all of the screen could be threatening. You know,
Correct.
like you're seeing your subjects in like the middle of the screen, pretty much, probably
Right.
most of the time, which is your protagonist. But then, like, there's other parts of the screen that are enveloping you, and like he could be anywhere.
They even, whether it's on purpose or not, or sometimes, because it's not as obvious as when these things happen, but when you have a moment that's something's going to happen in a frame, you have that frame shifted so that way your subject is kind of in the foreground. It's the classic open the mirror, close the mirror, and then somebody's there, right? You can feel it because of the way it's shot.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. You get that feeling a lot in this movie. Something's going to happen, but he never gives you a release.
Yeah,
It's very interesting.
He'll have like if you cut to the wide right now, like if you had just me in frame, but there's all this space, that you guys, if you weren't here, aren't occupying, that's tension right there anyways. Like,
Yes.
why isn't it just on our
why
subject?
is he not in the middle of it
Exactly.
too?
Yeah, why is he not in the foreground? Why is he not like the main thing in this? Why are we leaving? What are we leaving room for?
Yeah,
That's
there you go. Yeah.
There's an interesting little thing when Lori gets into her bedroom, there's no exterior shots, so my wife can't look for palm trees at this point.
Right, sure,
So she's
sure.
thinking of other things to look
of
at.
course.
She looks up at that poster on her wall,
Yes.
and she's like, "Who's James Ensor?" And so she gets on her phone and starts looking it up. Never would have thought to look that up in my entire life. James Ensor was 1860 to 1949. He was a Belgian expressionist painter who was most famous for portraying human figures wearing grotesque masks.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's not coincidence.
That's fun.
That's someone putting that on the wall.
Oh,
going,
100%.
Going, oh yeah, that's
The only
These
reason.
are USC graduates. you
yeah.
know,
They know
like art.
exactly what they're doing.
The reason I knew or thought about it was because I knew the name Ensor.
Okay.
Because like Belgian is like my heritage.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've looked up a lot of Belgian culture and like looked up a lot of heritage, especially when we were
recognize that,
going to. And I'm like, oh yeah, like I recognize that name, and he was an expressionist, but I never put it together that he did the mask thing.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
And another thing, we got to go to Jarrett Layoff actor database. So there's not much in this, right? There are two actors who this is their second film they've been in. Any guesses on who those are?
Oh man.
I'll give you.
Was one the gravekeeper?
Yeah, so the cemetery caretaker was Arthur Mallet. He was Toodles in Hook. He was the old man that lost his marbles.
Oh no shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I recognized
Did
him.
not recognize that at all.
I caught it when he was talking to him. By the way, super fucking funny way to just be like, yeah, finished up dinner, and then he went in and he grabbed a hacksaw,
Where
and
are
he
we?
came back in. He's like, oh yeah, here we are. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I always thought he said he finished dinner.
Finished? Yeah.
That's what I always thought he said, and I was like, that's terrifying. Whatever. The other one being so Sheriff Brackett is played by Charles Cyphers. He was Charlie Donovan in Major League. He was the sidekick to the evil lady.
Yep.
Oh.
He's fucking Charles Cyphers. I love him as Sheriff Brackett.
I do too.
He's very comforting to me.
Well, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but in The Fog, you'll love him in The Fog.
Good. I'm excited. That is still going to happen. But he just feels very everybody's entitled to a good scare.
Yeah. Okay. So at the same time of that, like she's like looking behind her and shit. She's like, "What the fuck was that guy doing?" and then he's just standing right in the middle of the fucking sidewalk waiting for her to hit him.
Yep.
Like as soon as she turns around, it's like, it's Halloween. Everyone's died to a good scare. Oh, it's fucking Halloween.
Oh, really?
Oh, it is?
Where's your costume, asshole?
Fucking move out of my way, Sheriff.
God. He is just standing there, and like it seemed. I don't want to say unnecessary, but okay, I take it back 100%. Here's what's interesting about this that I noticed for most of the time whenever there is technically what might be a jump scare, but it's not actually Michael Myers.
Yeah.
So there's no stinger.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, the stinger was her going, "Oh!"
Yeah.
Dude, good call.
So, and when we get to it, when Loomis is outside and he scares the boys away from the house, the hand, there's no stinger.
Good call. I
love it.
And I'm like, wow. I was like, this is interesting. And so, but every time Michael Myers is on camera or in the idea of this, then there's a there's something
crazy stinger,
and it's almost over the top.
It is.
Because he's not doing a thing to sting. It's just he's there. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Okay, yeah.
So it's funny to me, but at the same time, I'm like, that has to be a conscious decision. I think it's very clever.
Yeah.
Well, and like the glut of being annoyed by jump scares that are just fucking fake, like the mirror one. That you were just saying, it was like, we don't need that. And John Carpenter and Deborah Hill were back then inventing this genre, pretty much, just being like, well, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Like just having not even the forthwith or like the knowledge to tell the future or anything. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like they were more focused on the creep and tension factor rather than jumping in.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the fall and Halloween, there's nothing better than getting a cocktail in your hand that contains the best whiskey in the entire world, Cedar Ridge.
Get some hot
whiskey.
toddies.
Hot, whether you want to go hot toddy with it, whether you just want to have that flask that you can just kind of pull out.
Little nipper.
Because I'm telling you, nothing better than a little whiskey just to warm your insides up a little bit. If you're crisp fall night, you're out trick or treating. You've got your kids with him, and you're like, we've gone to 700 houses. When is this going to end? A little nipper of the whiskey. You're not driving, of course. You're just walking in your neighborhood.
Of course. Yeah. I was out back of the show last night, and we had a little flask of Cedar Ridge we were just sipping on, and kept us a little warm. Kept us energized.
As you're enjoying your fall season, think about getting a bottle of Cedar Ridge whiskey. They're distilled right in our backyard here in Swisher, Iowa. And you could pick from some of the amazing stuff they offer. You can get the flagship bourbon. That's best for you just want something in the flask. You just want to maybe make a cocktail at home, maybe smoke a glass, do some of that stuff. Ooh. Flagship bourbon's great for that. You can get their American Quintessential, which is the best tasting single malt I've ever had in my entire life. Get a bottle of that for neat, maybe one rock on there, or you can get crazy, get evil this season. Their collaboration with Slipknot.
Fuck yeah, dude. 666, dude. The veil is
That's
thinning,
what I'm
dude.
saying. Number 9. They went and did something as evil as mixing rye and bourbon together, and it's an incredible taste. So you've got to trust us. You've got to go to your local distributor, your local store. Try to get some Cedar Ridge. If you can't, go to cedarridgedistillery.com. Order some straight to your door. You will not be upset, especially when you do it responsibly.
Yeah.
Def.
You might get pissed off if you don't do it responsibly, but we're not telling you to do that.
Look at his shirt, look at my shirt, the perfect combination. Come on.
Blam. Look at
AJ's in a
flannel.
Flannel. Yeah.
Well, we're moving on to scene 3. So Annie picks up Lori, and after driving around and running into Annie's father, they arrive at their respective houses to begin babysitting. Annie has an incident with a spill on her clothes, and she drops Lindsay off with Lori so she can go pick up her boyfriend. She's killed by Michael Myers before she can leave. I would never thought of this if we had not just done Scream, but all the Halloween references in Scream makes me wonder if they also put Don't Fear the Reaper in Scream in the background
100%.
when Don't Fear the Reaper was playing in the car when they were driving around.
Yeah. And I think it does.
You think so?
Oh, 100%. I think you talked a little bit about that even, Shaun. Like,
I think I straight up said it in the episode.
Yeah. Well, you had said it, but you had the reference of he's with the Reaper, you know?
But you're saying that they put it in Scream just because it was in this movie.
100%.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I think that's great.
That different weird version, but yeah.
Well, Shaun, what about some of the beauty in the cinematography of this? Like, if you're talking about this scene when they're driving and the sun is setting. Like, how do you get that shot?
I almost wrote like 6 or 7 notes on just that, where it was just like it's just that vibe, man. It's that magic hour that they captured in fall. There's nothing like fall magic hour,
Yep.
you know. Like you got
It's
your
different.
summertime. It's just like it's like almost crisper. Like like the hue is a little darker when it's magic and or magic hour in fall. I don't know. And then like you put Blue Oyster Cult. This song, Don't Fear the Reaper, over it, and it's just, I don't know, you can't get any better than this, man. Like,
And then you got
it's
some
why-
reefer, you know.
yeah, it's why this
Don't Fear the
movie, like I
Reaper.
said, there you go. It's your friend. Legalize it.
Devil's lettuce, bro.
Get a little confused vibes, or Dazed and Confused vibes, you know?
The blackest lettuce, the devil's lettuce.
The devil's lettuce. Oh, man.
That's funny. I'm gonna give that to you.
Okay,
We haven't done,
hey,
we haven't done
wow.
the joke
Oh,
about
shit,
some.
okay.
That made me laugh. The devil's lettuce.
Yeah, no, like it's indescribable. Like you're right, the Dean Cundy's lighting and
I just
all
don't
of his
understand it.
cinematography is just perfect. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that shot in particular. Go back and rewatch it when they're sitting in that car and it's sunset. It's gorgeous.
I have to say, like, leading up to this, Lori goes out and she kind of sits on that with the pumpkin and all of her stuff and kind of getting ready to head on down, and she just sits on that pedestal thing, and then that car pulls up. And she runs on over, and she's kind of hustling over, and she's like managing to get, okay, well, I got all the stuff, and she gets into there, and he's just like, hurry up. And it's just like, well, park closer next time, Dick. I had to
across the
run a
street.
half a block just to get over here. I had my hands full. Thanks for the help, bitch.
Well, then they pull up to the hardware store, and he's like, I said, aren't you supposed to leave or whatever? He's like, Sheriff Brackett's
Aren't you
yelling
afraid
at her.
you gotta be
Like,
late?
He shouts too. He's like, you fucking shout, Annie.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to tell you. I've been meaning to talk to you about this, actually. You need to quiet the fuck down.
Yeah.
Like, oh, all right.
If we were on a train to go punch a face, I'm on board.
That's what I'm talking about.
Shaun, it's not often that we punch women. We don't agree with it.
But we're equal opportunity.
But we're equal opportunity punchers.
These
and
are fake
these are
characters.
fake characters.
Right.
I think Annie is a huge bitch, especially to Lori. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think Annie likes Lori at all.
Yeah, I think Annie is like that kind of friend who has this friend around because it makes her feel better about being a bitch.
She sucks.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think I was glad to see Annie go, and I think there are a couple other punchable faces on this, but I think I'm going to punch Annie.
I think I'm with you, man. That's a good one.
We don't often punch women.
And I like her in this movie a lot.
Characters.
I did too. I like her
Oh,
in this
yes.
movie.
But I'm just saying, as a human being, that character is like, yeah, you got what you
Yeah,
deserve.
well, yeah. Lori, if she didn't get killed by Michael Myers, Lori would have slapped the fuck out of her at one point and been like, and then it would have like humbled her.
They would have had a
probably.
moment.
Yeah. And
They're-
been like, in order to be my friend, I need to slap the shit out of you. Real
Right.
quick.
Yeah. I don't know. For Annie, maybe a donkey punch. But it's not.
Whoa.
But it's
Whoa.
Not like a-
what?
it's. I think the kids who pick on Tommy deserve the
Which
the
kid?
lineup.
Kid number one that gets caught?
Yeah. Is that
Or do you want
is
to go
that
off
kid
through? Do
number
you want
one?
to do like?
Yeah, it's
Are
the
we-
lineup. Ta 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 ta.
Are we assuming it's Lonnie and his crew?
That's Lonnie. Get your
Lonnie.
ass out of here.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Lonnie, get your ass out of here.
Yeah. I think that would be like those kids are for me. But you know what? It's fine. I'll go with you on this.
I'll bring up a secondary punchable face later on. How about that?
Okay.
But this is official. We're on record.
Yep. That's fair.
And so, yeah, so they get to their respective babysitting houses, and then Loomis is taking Sheriff Brackett around into the dilapidated Myers house. And you get more of this, like, exposition, I guess, or background, I guess, of Michael Myers. But, like, it's still, like, not spoon-feeding you anything. He's still saying, like, superlatives, or, like, as Sheriff Brackett's saying, what's he call it? Like, more fantasy kind of shit, you know?
Yeah.
He kind of...
More myth and
he's like more fancy talk is what he says. But it is like that's how else do you describe this thing? You know, like you have to take me seriously. Like that's a dog that he fucking ate. You know, he's like, so I guess he got hungry. He's like, could have been a skunk or something. No, you know,
Enough signs are pointing towards, hey, Sheriff Brackett, like we got to take this seriously.
and he's spooked
Yeah.
too. That thing comes, whatever that is, comes
Yes,
crashing
the
down.
gutter.
Okay, comes crashing down into the window, and he's like, I have a permit. You know,
I thought that was very funny.
I know it is.
It's like just a little spooky. I have a permit for this. I
He's
swear to
so
God.
good in this
It-
movie.
yeah.
Dude, like it's ridiculous. Like he he got paid $20,000 to be in.
He's
this
probably
thing.
the highest paid actor in this movie.
Definitely.
Obviously.
And then he could have phoned this in, and but he was so into it, and was the calling card from all of the sequels until he passed away. I think in 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's been in all of them since. It's just so cool to see him take this character on and make it his legacy. Really, almost he's a fucking 007 villain.
He was he was the guy, the one with the cat in Speaking of Pretty Little.
Dr. No?
Yeah, I might have been Dr. No. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is.
Pretty sure.
The Dr. Evil thing.
Yeah. Okay.
I do have to mention that there was one particular moment of this movie the first time I saw it that solidified this for me, that I was like, this movie's so creepy and I love what they do. It's when little Tommy looks out the window and sees Michael Myers across the street, the shadowed silhouette of him, leaves blowing all over the place, kids going by, and he's just, and we don't know if he's looking directly at Tommy. He could be looking into the house, he could be looking anywhere else, but that moment was like, this is a fucking horror masterpiece in my opinion. It's not spoon feeding anything, it's just making me feel completely unease and terrified, and that was the shot for me that did it.
It's just the backlighting of that house, creating that silhouette, the shape,
it's
creating that ambiance of just a threat looming and always encroaching, And then this time, I do think that he was in that specific thing, he was looking into where Annie was.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because it cuts back to her with the popcorn and shit, and he's right there,
kind of going around the house.
Which I didn't notice it until this rewatch. I put that together, but.
Yeah, this is where it really starts to turn, but it also thought for a second it was going to turn into a 70s porno. Oh, a spill!
Because anytime
I better take off my pants.
All of it.
Anytime I get a drop of water on me, I strip nude.
Oh no, that's gonna stain. Oops. Ooh.
I guess we'll have to go to the laundry shed,
which, by the way,
totally exists in the Midwest.
Yes, I was gonna say, dude, we're in California. There's no basements in California. Everyone has a laundry shed.
Yeah,
we're the Midwest. We have basements.
Yeah, and if you're
that is where the laundry would exist.
And if you're lucky, you have it on ground level. That's what you have it.
You definitely did not.
If you're
in
lucky,
1978.
not 1978 though. You put that shit down in the basement,
in the creepy ass basement.
Luckily, there's this flowing white this flowing white button-up shirt that I can put on with my long socks.
Maybe Lindsay's dad.
Yeah. Oh
Mm.
no, this tide. They put it right next to the cereal. I don't know. And then she goes and does her laundry.
Stuck porn.
Absolute,
she gets stuck in the window.
Absolute stuck porn.
Oh no, big brother, get me out of here.
Oh no.
Oh no. Halloween just turned into Halloweener. Hey. Hey, all right, Daddy.
Has there been a porn called Halloweener?
Oh,
that has to be.
There's at least 70 of them. It's like IMDb usernames.
But when
Erwin
Yablans came up with Halloweener, he was like, "Oh, nothing else is called Halloweener."
Yeah,
that's crazy.
But I just don't. Also, the other thing that doesn't make sense to me is that she is locked into this little shed.
Yeah,
Halloweener, Friday the 15th. That's what it says. That's all I'm going to read. I don't want that on my search history.
I would give you the belt, but you read it off a computer.
That's not my joke.
Let's give the internet the belt.
Oh, no. That's not fair.
That's fair.
So, but she's locked into this thing from
We're talking about scary movies and there's scary noises.
I know. It's going around us, but it's fine. She's locked into this thing. You can see a little deadbolt on the door. It's a faux pas.
She's never been in there before.
I guess.
Dark.
It's like, I don't know how doorknobs work. And then she goes to a blocked window.
Yeah.
Gets into stuck porn.
Do we like Lindsay? I think Lindsay's a great performance.
Lindsay's great.
Lindsay's great.
Lindsay and Tommy, man.
They're great.
I think they're both awesome. Yeah.
I do love when I feel it when she goes in to talk to Lindsay and she goes, "I'm scared." It's like, well, why are you sitting watching a scary movie in the dark? That happens to me all the time when I'm like, this movie's fucking freaky. I'm like, well, why am I watching?
some
it?
lights on.
Why are you doing it like this? What do you got to light the kerosene lamp again? Just fucking turn on
the
the
most
light.
simple thing in the world. You're like, well, of course you're scared.
When we were doing Blair Witch, I saw a YouTube video. It was like, I watched the Blair Witch out in the middle of the forest. I'm like, fuck that.
Fuck
you
you.
idiot.
Get out of here. What are you doing to yourself?
Super weird moment. As number one, we have Annie's kill coming up, but also you have. Oh wait, no, I think that's the next scene, so I'll save that for then. But Annie's death. There's not a lot of blood in this movie, is there?
I read the only blood you see is the first kill, right?
On
Just a
her
little bit on
tits.
her beautiful tits.
Breasticles?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's really
I don't know
it.
if there's much else.
Well,
But
I mean,
that's-
you see a little bit on Lori's arm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
later
right.
on, but it's very little.
But that's the beauty. Like, that's what I want. I don't want the full blown. That was the problem I had with like the Evil Dead, right? Is that overblown,
Yeah.
like just grossness. Where I like more of the creepy of like I don't have to see. It was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You don't see the hook, but you know what happened. Like
Right.
that's what I prefer. I prefer to let my brain do that. I mean, is that kind of how you guys are?
I like it both ways.
Okay, yeah.
But like I said in The Thing, which is funny that she's watching the original
is.
The Thing. I John Carpenter's like, well, I've never done a huge gore fest, so I'll do that, and like the paranoia and suspense of The Thing. It just best of both worlds in my opinion. But this is like specifically Deborah Hill and John Carpenter were like, we want to do like a bloody horror movie event of the year. We wanted to like do an exercise in tension, and that is all that this movie is, and it works. I mean, obviously it fucking
does.
works.
AJ, the first time you saw this, did you gather the door being locked and unlocked? Did you catch that right away, like of her car? You know how she goes out, it's locked. She goes back in to get the keys. She comes out and just opens the door.
Oh,
Did you not catch that?
I didn't catch that.
So she goes out to the car and she tries to open her car. She's like, forgot my keys. Door's locked. She goes inside, gets her keys, come back out, and opens the car door without using her keys.
Gotcha.
That was lost on me the first couple times I saw it. And it's such an obvious thing.
This whole sequence is so brilliant.
It is, man. It's like she's so preoccupied that she forgets that she forgot her keys, and she knows she needs her key to do the car. So that's all she's thinking about is I need the keys to start my car, not to also open my door.
Yeah.
Opens it.
Right.
And then she realizes that now he's inside of it. It's like, it's crazy.
There's
to me.
no music during this.
Nope.
There's nothing to tell you how you should feel.
Except
It's just which is just yeah. Oh, Paul. Which, by the way, voice of Paul is John Carpenter.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Never get to meet Paul, man.
But
Punchable voice.
Is that all you ever think about?
I think that's all you ever think.
That's all you ever think
When we get
about.
around to doing
He's
it.
like, well, I guess it is all you think about. That's what you're suggesting. But yeah, this whole sequence, man, I think it is like the exercise of like just this filmmaker burgeoning, being like, this is not just a low budget horror movie maker. This is a master doing this. Like showing the insert of the locked handle and like, oh well, shit, I got to go get my keys. I'll see how my hair is, and then you kind of forget about it. There's enough time that's gone by of her going into the house, getting her keys. You kind of forget about it, like she does, and she just naturally opens the door, like kind of forgets about it. Is just singing about Paul, thinking
I
about
got my
Paul,
keys.
and
Ready to go get
and then the
get that in.
windows are fogged. It's so fucking good.
And this is the death that I think that they paid tribute to in the new Batman. The guy in his car. Remember I told you that when we saw the new Batman? This is like almost the exact. Remember he gets in his car. He's like, "Why are my fucking windows all fogged up?" And he gets him from behind, and he falls down, and the horn goes off for a little while.
Okay.
I feel like they paid a major tribute to Annie's death. Here
I love
in the
that.
new
I
like
Batman.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, let's go on to scene 4. So Linda and her boyfriend Bob arrive at the house Annie is babysitting at. It appears no one is there, so they go upstairs to have sex.
Fuck yeah.
Bob goes downstairs to get beers and is killed by Michael Myers. He then heads upstairs and kills Linda. With their 2 kids asleep, Lori decides to go over and see if everyone's okay. She finds that everyone is dead, and she's attacked and chased by Michael Myers back over to the Doyle house. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Well, just when Loomis is watching the house, just standing there by the bushes, and Lonnie and his crew come up. It's like, oh, go, Lonnie, go see it. He's like, I'm not scared. He's like, hey, Lonnie, get your ass away from that. And then, like his little smile is so like charming
Endearing.
to me. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I love it. And then he obviously gets scared by Sheriff Brackett, but then like this is where Sheriff Brackett's like still like, I'm not sure what the fuck's going on here, man. I don't know if like anybody's even here. I think you're crazy. You know, it's more fancy talk by you. And he's like, death has come to your little town, Sheriff. And it's just such an iconic line. I fucking love it so
and he
much.
should at least believe him by now, but
Yeah.
he just still will not believe it. Did you catch, dude? When Bob is my second mention
Okay,
for
this is what I want.
Can we talk about
Go
Bob
ahead.
is my second mention for a punchable face. But
Yeah. Okay.
why does he say
Yes.
It took me many times to realize what was going on here. He says, well, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna rip my clothes off, I'm gonna rip your clothes off, and then we're gonna rip Lindsay's clothes off.
Yeah, it's like, what?
Excuse me, what? Like Lindsay being the like 6-year-old girl?
The little girl, like in there watching the movie.
And half of me wants to think he meant to say Annie and no one caught it. Like he just forgot
I don't
names.
know.
but like he knows who Lindsay is. They all fucking babysit each
Yeah.
other, and everyone knows who everyone is in this town.
They're
Like,
in Lindsay's house at this point. Or
Yes.
they're entering Lindsay's house.
it's just so weird to me. And I still don't understand. There's no frame of reference for why he said what he said.
Nope.
It's a very strange comment. There is no rhyme or reason to it. It's a very, very just awkward thing, to be
And
honest.
then he goes, yeah.
One of two things I just choose to forget about this movie: killing the dog and that line.
Yeah.
I'm
You
like,
notice how we haven't talked about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just not
don't
going
want to do it.
Yep, we don't talk about that.
That's why this movie sucks.
But yeah, and the one thing again that I did not notice, they go up and they have sex.
Fuck yeah.
Which is also, have you ever had sex with a lit pumpkin next to you? I
No.
know you have. Damn it.
No.
I feel like that's a fun thing, right?
Well, I'm doing it now.
Yeah. Tell me how it goes.
Okay, cool.
Anyway.
In the moment, I will.
Yes, please. Hold on. I got to text Mike. But Shaun, I've seen this
Hang
movie.
on, buddy. I got a nut.
Live tweeting is pumpkin sex moments.
I've watched this movie like 18 times. You know, like 18 years in a row. And
one was together with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fucking Ethan. God damn, I had to sit
Thanks for
next
the
to
invite,
Ethan.
guys.
He's like, sweet tits. What's happening? What are they doing? And it was so quiet. Never mind.
Dude,
Never
Well,
mind.
it's funny. The person who plays Linda actually went into a theater to watch this and sat in like the fourth row or something, or like, and there was a guy in front of her, and when her thing comes up and she's like, "See anything you like?" and this dude in front of her is like, "Hell yeah, I do."
Hell yeah, dude. And she's like, cool.
And she's like, "Oh, it's kind of flattering."
I
Okay,
am
that's
pretty
dope.
attractive.
Yeah.
But dude, I never noticed the shadow of Michael Myers go along
Yeah.
the wall while they're having
Oh.
sex. Because I'm obviously preoccupied on how there's no way they're having sex the way that they're laying in the bed. I don't agree with this.
Just gyrating like
Yes.
like side by side. Like you don't do that.
Yeah, her legs are here, his legs are here. I don't know how that's working, but I'm interested.
Yeah.
So I never saw that shadow of him go across the back wall.
Yeah.
Fucking terrifying.
It's
Well,
great.
They actually had to reshoot it a couple of times because it would go across and you could see his tent that he pitched in his thing. It's like, yeah, bloodlust is on.
Hey, wow.
That was just my knife. It was just my
Is
knife.
that a knife in your pocket? You're just happy to see me.
Yeah,
huh?
both. It's actually both. Yeah.
Welcome to Halloween.
Isn't that fun?
That's a good time.
Dude, and you also got to talk about how different times were. Like, I would never, ever, ever go to someone else's house with a girl I was dating to have sex in someone else's bed, probably their parents' bed.
Oh yeah.
In their parents' bed, to then light up cigarettes.
Yeah.
To nonchalantly lay around. They could be home at any minute.
Beer cans everywhere.
Beer cans everywhere. To then like go downstairs to drink their beer. What if they came home while you're naked in the kitchen,
Yeah.
getting a beer, and your girlfriend's upstairs smoking in their bedroom?
And where is my daughter at?
Where's my daughter?
Lindsay is gone for the night. Did we approve any of that?
Yeah.
And also,
I'm not paying you anymore.
no. Fuck, man.
Contract is over.
I'm not paying you.
And also, we do know, if we know one thing, we know that if Bob had not had to go downstairs to get this beer, like Michael Myers would have just been stuck in the closet, just been like, at any moment he's gonna come. If Bob would have had a Kanga cooler with
Yeah,
him, like
it's
we
true.
have on our
It's
table,
very true.
and he would have had his beers by his bedside, he would have never had to go downstairs, and he would have never got killed. It says on the back of Kanga, it says, perfect for beaches, golfing, adventure. I want to add having sex in your friend's parents' bedroom with your girlfriend and having beers after.
Absolutely.
You need a beer after sex? Bring a Kanga cooler.
Bring a Kanga cooler. That thing.
Sorry, Kanga. You were sitting here and I saw you.
Yeah. It makes sense though. I mean, it's
practical.
It's easy to
stylish.
access. You just reach on down after you just reach down, and you just go down. And you just reach right in there and pull it right out after you pulled out.
Yeah,
and that's what you do.
Just so good.
I know.
We're on fire.
We're on fire, guys.
Let's take it away from laughter. How about this Bob kill?
Okay.
So
Still laughing,
iconic.
huh?
Is this the iconic kill?
Okay, so I will say this is like the Nick Castle who plays the
Yes.
Shape, a director on his own. We will do Major Pain one day, absolutely. He asked John Carpenter, like, what's my motivation? The the actor question that people ask.
Yeah.
And John Carpenter's like, no, just walk, just walk, just lumber along like you do, And I guess like Nick Castle's dad was Fred Astaire's like choreographer.
Wow.
So he like kind of knew how to move ish, like gracefully or weirdly. But anyway, like he just said, just move, just walk. And,
Point A to point B.
Yeah.
You
The
need to
only
get
other
there.
direction that
like-
he gave him was in this kill scene was like, and when he's pinned up against there, do a little head tilt. And that's the only direction he ever gave Nick Castle.
And
was
Nick
to-
Castle said he's like, I didn't understand it. I was like, well, whatever. Okay, I turned my head to the side. Like he didn't understand what he was doing, and then he saw it back, and he's like, oh,
It's like looking at a butterfly collection that Carpenter was related it to.
yeah. He was admiring what he had done, or like intrigued by like, wow, he looks weird that
Like,
I've
huh,
killed him.
He's stuck up there like that, huh? Wow.
It's so terrifying. It's dark, silhouetted by moonlight. You're like, Jesus.
It is terrifying, but it's like it's also just kind of I think it's I don't know. There's something a little comedic about it because he's like stabbed through the stomach and he's like he is like rigor mortis instantly, like against this wall.
His
you
toes
know?
do the same thing the dog's legs did.
Yeah. And you're just like, well, okay. All right.
Yeah, you ruined it.
He's like, yeah. He's just up there just like,
It would be really hard to do that.
how is he not like,
Yeah, exactly.
you know what I mean? So that's my only thing with it. But then we got to think about what happened after Bob is turned into a butterfly collection.
Yeah.
We have to think about what Mike Myers did.
Michael Myers.
Oh, sorry, Michael Myers. I
yeah.
apologize. I was, that was close. Michael. Well, Bennett did it. So anyway, Michael Myers, you know what? I'm going to call him the Shape.
Cool.
The Shape does this other funny thing where he takes the time to, after seeing Bob, he's like, okay, I grabbed some sheets. This is probably what he did while he was waiting in the closet. And he's like, cut out some eye holes and make you a ghost.
That's why I think
And then he's like,
he's
takes-
just socially awkward. He wants
like-
to meet Linda.
He's like,
he just
oh,
doesn't know how.
this will be funny. This will be funny. I'm
Linda
gonna put on his glasses.
Linda likes glasses. She was
Yeah.
a glasses person.
Yeah.
So like, he's like,
I have perfect vision, so
he's walking up breathing like, because he's like,
Probably can't see anything because of his prescription.
his prescription's fucked, and he's going through two eye holes now that
trips a couple
definitely
times
don't
up the
line
steps.
up.
Ah, fuck.
Yeah, like he's tripping on the sheet. He's not that tall, and it's a king size sheet, so you know he's stepping on the sheet too.
Maybe he still thinks he's in his house.
Yeah,
He can't see shit.
he's bumping into things.
it's pretty awesome though.
Well, like, and then Linda, I feel bad for Linda at this point because she's given her best material.
Oh yeah, she's like,
got your ghost, Bob?
cute Bob, real cute.
Not fucking budging at all. Like, what a crowd.
What is this, an oil painting?
Fuck. Linda's kill reminded me of there's a game that they play on the Howard Stern show where they'll give you a clip, an audio clip, and you have to decide whether it was from a horror movie or from a porno.
Yeah,
Okay.
makes perfect sense.
Which is basically what
So
Linda's
this is where they
thing
got the idea.
It has to be. Oh, you're
dude.
famous screaming. It's like, and you cannot tell. You're like, I think that's a porn. You're like, oh my god, that
Reminds me
was a
so
horror
much
movie.
of a last podcast bit that they did where it's like, was it Possession or Angry Cat? So fucking funny.
That's really good, man.
Oh my gosh,
we might
dude.
have to play that on a Patreon.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Well, before we move on to the last scene, the thing I want to talk about the most is that the anxiety of Michael Myers chasing her back across the street. This is like the tension for me that is almost unbearable. Of like he's slowly walking, she's running out of the house. He's coming across the street and she can't get anyone else to open the door. And then she's finally gets Tommy, but Tommy's like, I'll be there in a second, and does the slow walk, and you're waiting for the door to open. That tension cannot be overstated of how unbelievable this scene is.
And I think it's, I like how much it doesn't necessarily cut back to, like, they could have easily gone back very much or a lot to his perspective, or like walking behind his feet, or like being behind his feet and walking up to her and cutting back, and he's there, and oh my God, and building that tension. But I like how much, honestly, there isn't a focus on him really chasing her down.
Yeah.
There's really not. It's a lot of her at the doors. You do see at one point him coming
Like
from
twice, maybe.
around like the house or something. But other than that, it's really not. And you're just kind of wondering.
I have to mention a couple things, backtracking a little bit before we get to the final scene here, is when Tommy is like trying to scare Lindsay while they're watching the thing, and it's after he kills Annie.
Yeah.
And he looks out the window again. It's the same shot, but he's carrying the soundtrack of
From
the
thing. Fuck.
like amplifying that. Like it's just so good. But then it's right before she goes to check out where Linda is. She tucks the kids in and she says, "Good night, kids." I watched a video by Terraformed of just like the kind of like the subtext of this. This is kind of where I got like my understanding of and my theory of it just being about fate and the loss of innocence. Really,
Say it right.
It's her fate.
Thank you.
It's her her fate and loss of innocence. She's like literally saying goodbye to her innocence.
Wow.
What with the kids laying
To make
there.
the journey into...
Yeah, and then she goes across the street where she's going to lose it. He pointed that out, and I was like,
that was the
that's,
last normal moment of her life.
yeah,
Right.
Ugh.
definitely.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so Terraformed is a cool video. He just released it actually, so check that out on YouTube.
Yeah. And obviously, I mean, we've mentioned it already, but I just want to be very blunt and blatant about it. I just think it is really cool that they are watching the thing that came from outer space, which was the original for the thing, but the very iconic, like the thing burning through, and how they recreated that for John Carpenter's, So I thought that was fucking awesome.
Halloween Ends, the newest one.
Yeah.
They have them watching John Carpenter's The Thing.
I love that.
Yeah, fuck off.
That's great. I do like it.
I like it.
I like it.
I like it.
Final scene. Inside the Doyle house, Laurie's attacked again by Michael Myers in the living room. She hides the children and then is attacked while hiding in the closet. She appears to kill Michael, but he revives and attacks Laurie again right as Dr. Loomis arrives and shoots him. After he falls off the balcony, Dr. Loomis and Laurie realize that he survived and is roaming the neighborhood.
I mean, this is it, man. This is like the final girl, final chase in every horror movie you see now. Everything does this, and like I know I say this a lot maybe on the shows that we do, but like towards the end of these movies, I'm like I know where this is going, and I don't take many notes just because but this does it. This is the one that did it, This is the one that like created that kind of thing. I don't know. It still works for me, and I still think that Jamie Lee Curtis, this is her first film.
Intense.
She's incredible in this, I think. And I think there's only like really one moment where she does get scared by Sheriff Brackett, where she looks like she's kind of like covering up a laugh a little bit. Like she kind of got actually scared or like bumped into him in a weird way. That's the only thing that I can see in this movie that where she's maybe a little bit bad. Not even bad, but just still charming, What do you guys think? I think she's fantastic in this.
I think her performance is phenomenal in this. I think it's interesting how much real up close screen time she maybe doesn't get, but I think I think it adds to the movie itself. And in these moments, especially, she has these moments of this like almost meter of John Carpenter saying you need to be at like a 10, like at this point, or you need to be at like a 5 here, and I think she plays this very well when she discovers all her friends. It is this moment of she keeps kind of doing the backup thing, like she's backing away, backing up. You never know when he's going to come out of wherever
that
he
empty
is.
blackness in the room that he's
so good.
And I think that is watching that for the first time was a pretty cool moment.
I'm jealous. Like you said all the time of like watching a movie for the first time. It's like, that's so cool.
It's so fun.
And that was one of those moments that I really think it's very iconic. And like even the newest like cover plays on that, the movie cover, like whatever the newest Halloween is, even kind of I feel like plays on that. And her backing up, Bob falling out of the thing, and her other friends just almost like crumpled up into these cupboards. It's terrifying, and you think about that, and I think she just plays this so damn well.
Especially
she does.
Considering the creepiness of all the work Michael Myers put into making that bedroom beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost like a love scene, like, oh, Laurie's going to totally love to bone me in this room next to her dead friend and Judith Myers' headstone. Like, that feels so creepy to me that he did all that stuff. Who was he doing that for?
Yeah. Did he have like a remote control for when Bob comes down perfectly?
I know, right?
In the closet, it's like...
I think he ran out of time. I think that was the last thing he was trying to do.
Oh, okay.
And he was
cleaning the blood up off the floor.
On, just stay.
Damn
and
it.
kind of did the thing where it's like,
and shut the door. Okay, we're good.
Okay, we're good.
The cupboard's
we're good.
overflowing, but you're just,
I gotta get to work on this headstone. That thing's heavy.
that thing's really heavy.
Yeah.
And I think
a little bit more on Jamie Lee Curtis, a little bit like even her interactions with the kids, like they just get done carving the pumpkin or the jack-o'-lantern, and she's like doing the weird noises, like the trick or treat shit. I just think that like if I was being babysat by her at that age, I'd be like, she's the fucking coolest.
Yep.
Like everything about the layers of her character are fantastic.
Yeah, they really are. And she's a great she's a great defender, if you will.
Yes.
Really, really great about making sure the kids are safe, they're a priority for her. And then the closet scene though too is one of those things that, again, I didn't know what to expect, and I think it was very well done. It was a point where I think in any other movie, the person would have given up rustling into the closet. You know what I mean?
Right.
And been like, well, maybe they're not here or something, or follow out the window. But then add for another scare later on, but not the shape. He busts right through the thing.
And then the light is going off and on as he's like pulling the chain, and he turns over and looks.
I did find myself saying like about Laura, like, shut up. Like, stop it. Stop, like, making noise.
Too much noise.
Yeah.
And then she actually kills him. But for as good as she is, her character's an idiot for dropping the knife every single time. Every single time she drops the knife, he goes, it's fine, we killed it. But that, I don't know if I actually tried to do it today on the floor. I tried to lay flat on my back and get up without moving my arms or my face and just go like he does when he's laying behind her. It's really hard to do.
It's not easy.
Ab work that Nick Castle had to do.
That they probably had to do it over and over and over. That scene where he just goes whoop and then pause, head turns to the side. It's like, come on. Dun. Ride symbol. Yeah, it's fucking. I fucking love it. I think it's incredible.
It's a really great finish to this. It really is, and him coming up and out, and the removal of the mask. I also didn't know that actually even happens.
Yep.
I think that's a really important thing that happens in this movie.
And he has to put it back on.
And he has to put it back on before he can continue doing what he wants to do. Very, very interesting. And I mean, it's very slow building. It's all the way up to that, and then Loomis coming in to finish him off.
And the fact that was almost the creepiest thing of the movie to me, is that idea that he's still out there, and that it's not just like, oh no, he's gone. That decision to show all the places they've already been that we've seen him in, but without anyone in it.
Yeah.
And then his breathing starts coming in. You're like,
all done in editing too.
They did it all after the fact.
Yeah.
Didn't
And then like it was cool to see an interview with Carpenter being like, I learned a acting and directing thing from Donald Pleasance. I learned a lot from him actually, and he's actually a good friend now, is what he was saying. And then he said specifically in this scene, he's like, I can do this one of two ways. I can do this. I am absolutely shocked that he's gone after I shoot him, or I can do this that I knew this was going to happen.
is
And he's like,
understood.
and John Carpenter's like, I don't know. Can you give me both? And so he did both. And obviously, the obvious choice was, I knew this was going to happen. And it's perfect. It's like he's looking down. And it's like just the perfect amount of time. The timing of his like eyes looking back and forth, like out to the streets, of Haddonfield. He's out there, and then you hear his like, and even Lori knows it too. I love that moment where she doesn't even have to look down. She looks at Loomis
and goes,
and she's like,
no.
"Oh fuck, I know he's gone too, right?"
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah, because I mean, she already thought she killed him.
Yeah.
And then he gets, he basically just pulls a 50 cent and gets out of the way. So he's gone. Sucks.
Live or die trying.
That's right.
Whatever it is.
I delivered. Is that all you got, guys?
That's it.
Well, I want to bring up one quick thing, one quick fan theory on this. There's a blog called Dead to Rights that proposed that Dr. Loomis is actually the real bad, evil person of this movie, of the first Halloween movie, assuming this is the only thing we know is Halloween 1, right? So the 6-year-old Michael kills his sister. Michael staggers outside. We see his face, stunned expression, like as if Michael had just witnessed something traumatic, which he did not have an intent to. I would agree that, right? Like Michael's face just looks like he's stunned at what he did as a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
So Loomis gets him right away. He said, I met him 15 years ago. He had him right away.
Right.
I was told there was nothing left, no conscience, no reason, no understanding. But we just saw for ourselves that it looked like Michael actually did have some confusion and some feelings. The image of what we saw with 6-year-old Michael doesn't match what Loomis's speech said. Like we saw that terrified little boy. So what happened in those 15 years, right? We don't know anything about what happened in the 15 years between 6-year-old Michael, 23-year-old Michael. All we know is that Sam Loomis has had him and basically was the sole caretaker of this person. So this guy says that Dr. Loomis viewed the 6-year-old Michael Myers as a personification of evil because that's what he wanted to see in the boy. Thus, Loomis's idea of Michael became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Treat him like a killer and he becomes a killer. For 15 years, Michael was Loomis's own little science experiment, his own Frankenstein monster. I can imagine Loomis telling Michael over and over again that he's evil and the devil himself, constantly reminding him of the events in Haddonfield. The doctor seems to have had exclusive access to the kid for 15 years. And since society had written Michael off, this was Loomis's chance to push the boy's psychosis to its outermost limits, guided out by the insatiable scientific curiosity. Dr. Loomis is short-tempered, condescending, cold, hardly the type to be a self-sacrificing humanitarian concerned with protecting society. He feels the need to keep Michael under wraps, but only out of neurotic guilt at his own role in creating the monster. So maybe Loomis planned the whole thing to not only see if he could psychologically turn Michael into a monster, but also then release him into the world and see if it worked. He shows up at the sanitarium. He's clearly drunk in that car, by the way, riding up there. He's slurring his words. He knows what's about to happen. He set this whole thing in motion. He's either going to be a hero by catching him, or selfishly, he actually wants to see it work and succeed. He's 10 feet away. He doesn't try to stop Michael until the car's already driven away. You notice that? He's just standing there watching this whole thing. Loomis said he hasn't said a word in 15 years, but he sure knows where he's going. So Loomis maybe taught him how to drive, kept saying, you're going to go back to Haddonfield, you're going to do this. First thing he does is go to the cemetery, as if Loomis told Michael to go to the cemetery. Why else would he have thought that Michael would go to a cemetery?
Yeah.
Like, why would he have thought that? So I don't know. If you look at Loomis as a whole, like he's pretty bad. He doesn't notice this Illinois sanitarium car parked on the street the whole
next to
night.
him.
He's just letting this happen. Like, I don't know. I think that's a very interesting way to view that. Like Loomis almost caused this.
It's fun.
It's kind of a fun way to think
like
about
that.
it.
Almost in the idea that, like he's and even assisting or leading him to a degree.
Yeah, like kind of portraying like here's what you're going to do. Here's where you're going to go.
Yeah.
I'll make sure the cops aren't there.
Yeah, maybe he's taking the cops to different places, on purpose.
Sure.
It is very interesting. And it's the one thing about Loomis is that also you do notice that everyone still says to him, like, well, basically blames him for getting out.
Yeah.
Like, well, you should feel what somebody says something at one point.
Damn you for letting him go.
Damn you for letting him out.
Yeah.
Like it's his fault.
I tried.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a thought. Way to think about
I
it.
like
Wow.
that. That's fun.
That
Well,
is fun
That is
to
fun.
think about.
we know that the rest of the movies that came out just completely disprove that. We
Yes.
understand.
Yes.
And it's not anyone's fate that we wrote that.
All right, boys, we have stripped away the nostalgia. We've talked about it with a modern eye. It's time to give a modern day rating. AJ, this is the first time you saw this, man. Tell us what you think.
So this is also why I, it's come up in conversation before in our Patreon and like Discord and other places of, why I really hold off until I give it an honest to God rating in the moment of our discussions, after our discussions. And this is one of those movies exactly why. Sometimes it's very tough for me to go back and be able to watch these in the idea of, especially when I haven't seen a movie, to be able to go back to a movie from the 70s, Rule Breakers, you guys, fuck you, and have to watch it. I still have to be able to watch it with an understanding that it's a movie from the 70s and be able to actually pull out the modern eye and then have to go back again and watch with the modern eye and try to pick it apart and try to understand that. So the reason that can be very difficult in a movie like this, some things can appear lazy, but you have to remember it's John Carpenter. Most of it's probably going to be on purpose. A lot of it will be, and really understand where it was coming from for the time. So doing that and getting to listen to you guys break things down and also honestly explain some things and kind of confirm some things. It's tough, when you don't have immediate confirmation of like, yeah, that's stupid. I don't know why they would do that. It makes it very difficult. So that all being said, I believe that the suspense is there. Even though when you are me and you try to convince yourself that something isn't scary, but you find yourself kind of like coaxing or encouraging a character, I think that's a really great sign of how a movie is made and how they are creating and evoking this tension and this suspense and these feelings onto you. And again, some of the scariest images are in broad daylight, and I think that that's also fascinating and speaks for itself. So. Honestly, let's make this a long story short. I think that the characters are great, the acting is great, the directing is wonderful, and the score is one of the greatest things and most iconic of the genre, if not top tier in the ethos of scores. So I will give this the respect that it is due from my own perspective of a 7.75.
7.75. Shaun, what about you, man?
I think everything about this movie still works, man. I think that this movie was made, and every other slasher movie that came after this was aping off of this. Whether they did this or that differently, they still paid homage to Halloween in some certain way. I think that it's perfectly made. I think that the performances are amazing. I think that the scenery is incredible. When I think of Halloween, I think of that four-way stop shot and just establishing our Haddonfield. It's Halloween, man. It's there are a few perfect movies out there, and I think like maybe Jaws being one of them and Shawshank maybe being another. Halloween is a perfect horror movie, and it's a 10.
Shaun, I fucking love it. We've talked about this before. You can't. It's hard for me to rate this movie against Dazed and Confused when I'm not really a horror movie fan. Like Dazed and Confused is a movie. This is a horror movie, So it's hard for me sometimes to separate that because even if I love a horror movie, I still can't like be perfect for me because I just don't like that genre as much. Mm-hmm. But this is the best horror movie ever made, in my opinion. I think it's unbelievable. I think everything we have now we wouldn't have if it wasn't for this movie. I love it. Watch it every single Halloween. I watch it multiple times. I've never gotten sick of it. For me, and again saying that this is an 8.15 for me, which is definitely by far the highest rating I'll give any horror movie, hands down. So we got to go to Bud Larsen, executive producer. He says, I watched this on Roku. It seemed to me after the initial kill when he was 6, the movie slowed down. It seemed like it took forever for Michael to kill again. I like the stalking method by Michael. He's here, you look away, you look back, he's gone. It makes you question if you're seeing things. Bob, what the fuck? Is he a four pump and finish guy? I think it's less than 4. He deserved to get stuck on the closet door. Great use of the telephone cord to strangle Linda with. Lori, you survived being pushed over the railing and falling on the stairs. The fall alone should have broken a limb. Then she runs back to the Doyle's house just to stab him in the neck with a knitting needle after Michael missed with the knife. Lori then drops the knife on the floor and runs upstairs. Brilliant move. She hides in a closet. You're telling me that Michael can choke Bob then with one arm, lift him up with one arm before killing him, but can't rip those closet doors off the hinges. That's very true.
He carried a gravestone.
Yeah, he carried a 300-pound gravestone. Not a big deal. She then pokes Michael in the eye with a wire hanger. Totally believable. I like that.
Nice.
Then stabs him with the knife he dropped. After getting out of the closet, she drops the knife again. Seriously? This girl deserves to die. She has so many opportunities to end it, but stupidity keeps Michael alive. I still like watching these classic horror films, but my wife hates horror films, and my kids are still a little too young. The score for this film is so iconic. Most punchable face is Bob. He talks such a big game about ripping each other's clothes off, and then it's a 4 pump and chump finish. Prop from the movie would be the mask from the first kill. That's a good one when he was 6. Modern day rating, 8.3. Guys, that is an 8.55 for the group, which is... That takes this movie into the number 14 spot, kids. That is just below Aliens, just above Raiders of the Lost Ark is where that falls.
Okay.
Number 15, or
Below
sorry,
Aliens.
number 14 of any movie we've done. Just below Aliens.
Okay.
That's
interesting.
crazy.
That's where we're putting it.
That is wild.
Well, we're so glad you were here with us, everybody. Thanks for enjoying spooky season with us. You still got a couple more days
Yeah.
when you're hearing this, so enjoy the thinning of the veil.
Happy Halloween, you all.
Yes,
Love you.
so much happy Halloween. Tune in next week. We are going to finally get some more Rick Moranis in our lives. We are doing Honey, I Shrunk the Kid. Finally, followed by St. Elmo's Fire.
Yes, fine.
And if you're new to the podcast, go back this time last year, Back to the Future 1. I still think that is our most listened to downloaded episode, I believe. And it's a fantastic one.
Okay.
If you need to pull out a horror season, have some real life time travel horror in your life.
Yeah.
Like boning your mom.
Yeah, why not?
Love that.
Thanks for that. Let's finish up spooky season on a real good one there, Mike. Fine. I can't wait to be... Oh, man. No, we appreciate you sticking it out through spooky season. I know it was just as tough for you guys as it was for me. But we really do appreciate you being here and listening along all the way to the end of every single episode. Make sure you are checking us out on social media at Confused Breakfast. Anywhere you can find social media, just search for Confused Breakfast. Make sure you leave us a review. 5 stars is always appreciated. We always get the trolley trolls, but 5 stars keeps us up and our head above water. And then write us a review, too. We love reading them. On top of that, check us out on YouTube, because YouTube is a fun place to be when you're hanging out with us 3.
Wow. Go to confusedbreakfast.com, and you can also see our merch store. We're going to be updating that very soon, but right now you can get some koozies, some buttons, some shirts, and some sweaters. You
Swag.
Get some
Jumpsuits.
Good ones there.
And some Shatner masks.
Go to confusedbreakfast.com as well to see our ratings that we have for all the movies we've ever done. You can see our individual ratings, like AJ's, like Mike's, like mine. You can see our show's ratings all together with our producers as well. Thank you for listening. Happy Halloween.
Check us out on patreon.com/confusedbreakfast. Support our sponsors, Pretty Litter, DraftKings, Cedar Ridge. We are produced by the Upload Media Group in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We got Lugs on the control.
What's
up?
And we are on the Cloud 10 iHeart Podcast Network. Learn more, cloud10.fm. That's it. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Evil has come to your podcast.